Welcome back, everybody, to the Apex X League, brought to you by Esports. I am Nari Mizuki. Joined with me once again is the wonderful Boogie Woogie. How are you doing this evening?
Hey, how's it going, Nori? I'm very, very happy to be here. It's the end of a beautiful saga. Well, it's not the end, but let's say it's the end of this here part of AXL. But so far, it's been such a great journey that I'm more than thrilled to be here to present the last file.
Hell yeah, brother. And of course,
we have a surprise, right?
Yeah, surprise guest analyst. It is Shiv FPS, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend himself. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good. I'm fine. Hope you guys are doing good too.
Not stressed one bit. All right, let's
Not
go.
even a little bit.
We're chilling.
All right, so before we jump straight into it, let's take a look at that leaderboard and see where our teams have stacked up since yesterday. Over the course of this week, look at these points, Boogie. This is Alliance streaks ahead still.
It's crazy to see this, right? Because you thought, yesterday they haven't had the best of days, but then again, the buffer that they just created for themselves in day two, that really made the difference in this here leaderboard. I mean, just consider it. Yesterday coming in on the 8th place, did they come on 8th? I'm pretty sure they came on 8th, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then today to still be on top with a nice little bit of a buffer of almost 20 points? That is just insanity.
Yeah, they're looking really strong here at the moment. And as we move down the board, of course, second and third, Navi and SJP2, very close contention there, could go either way. But a massive gap starts to form once we hit 4th place with, well, near on 30 points difference there. And it just continues along down the list. So a lot of catching up to do for these teams. And let's just see just how difficult it might be. We'll take a look at the points. As you guys may know, day 1, day 2, day 3, we had 3 different point systems. Today, we will be maintaining the point system that we had yesterday. Teams felt that it was quite good. It was pretty good for viewership as well. Boogie, what do you think we'll see with this point system? Do you think it'll be the same as yesterday, or maybe teams have adapted a little bit more?
Yeah, so the thing is, it's just a change that is not as drastic as day 1 was to day 2. Day 3 change was a bit more subtle so that it's not as top heavy as it used to be, right? So in here, we shouldn't technically see much change in the gameplay. We just should see a bit more of a nice little bit of a spread on points. Because at the end of the round, or at the end of the game, should I say, when you're in the top 3, it's kind of anybody's game at that point in time. If you're 2 or 3 up, makes a huge difference in whether or not you have your ults ready. So seeing this nice little spread is actually, I think, it's going to be welcomed by the players too.
Yeah, and Shiv, you've actually played with the LGS point system, and having a look at this and how different it is to ALGS and how we've kind of evolved it. How do you think this changes play style for teams? Just purely based on how many points you get for placements.
I mean, placement-wise, if it's a tournament based on placement, then everyone's gonna be playing for that end game, really. This you say is more mixed, right? More towards placement and kills, right? So I think people are mainly gonna be focused on placement, but also towards trying to get kills along the way, however they can. But placement, I think, definitely is gonna be the focus for most teams, 100%.
Yeah, for sure. You get 8 kills or 7 or 8 kills, that puts you in the top 10, right? That's going to make a huge difference.
All right, and we're going to be... Yeah, we're diving straight on in here. We're going to be starting out with Dead Inside. These guys actually had a pretty good showing this week. I think they've managed to win out 2 lobbies. I'm not too sure if they've cracked that top 10, but they have been doing very well for themselves. And, I'm pretty excited to see if we're going to be seeing Sanya rocking a Kraber once again, because I seem to recall him doing quite a lot of damage with that earlier this week.
Yeah, Dead Inside, they're sitting on 14th place at the time being, but surely, with 6 games ahead of them, they have the time to actually, make a difference here today. We saw a great game from them. I think it was second day when this was the exact locations where it ended, and they had some really nice fences up there.
Yep, and we're going to swap over here to SJP2. Again, just on that looting extravaganza for the moment. And this is another team that's been doing quite well. If you recall, these were one of our top 3 teams. I believe this was actually the 3rd place team. So they've been performing exceptionally well and also had a couple of lobby wins that have netted themselves some great points. And they're obviously going to be looking to try and topple Alliance, but got quite a few points they need to get in order to get there.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a difference there, but then you have to count this as well. So SGP2 are on the 3rd place, but the difference between them and Na'Vi is actually 1 single point, right? So they definitely have a chance to climb up the ladders if they keep consistency with tonight's matches. But then again, you know Na'Vi is not going to yield. They've had a more than fantastic day yesterday, and I don't think they're going to let it go today.
Well, let's take a look at this map here for the moment. Oh, map's gone. Unlucky. We had quite a big... what's the word that I'm looking for? Assortment of teams up towards the northern side. But now, Wygers, well, they just get wiped out, don't they?
Yeah, it's not a great day for Wygers to start off the matches like that. It does look like North managed to just completely eliminate them. That scout from Tai Sheen did a ton of damage. Yeah, we're going to have a look at Lazarus, of course. Also another team that have been doing pretty good in this year tournament. And with the new set on points, I think their rotations are going to come into play and net them more.
It's been interesting to see how they've been performing because, of course, Nook wasn't on the original roster at the start of the tournament. He did come in a little bit later. I believe it was day 2 or 3 that he was brought on. So that's kind of changed. Obviously, that always changes a little bit of your play style, changes a little bit of how you play together. But they still have been netting themselves some fairly good results. And another team that's been doing quite well for themselves, of course, is Triumph. A little out of bounds here, guys. You don't want to be stuck out there for too long. You might just wind up dead. But they are in an engagement here. So they're trying to take every opportunity to get a little bit of cover here.
Triumph is playing on the back foot here, and that makes a lot of sense for him, right? Because at this point in time, it's so early to actually start a fight that it's you know, well, obviously you're going to get that much more points if you make it to that top 10. So I'm pretty sure that the enemy team that was on them is going to retreat. No, they're not, actually. It's Clique Gaming, who are indeed a very aggressive team. Let's see if they manage to do more than just the one frag. Taxi on the very top there takes the second frag down. JMW and Matey both on the knock. It looks like there's just one member left. I'm not too sure why Taxi is backing off, but that's what they're doing nonetheless. Oh yeah, there you go. So they're so Clique is just being absolutely aggressive. So Matey's down. JMW now is killed. I think there's just one guy left for Triumph.
Yeah, not too sure where he's hiding out though. And that's a very aggressive push there from Clique, but I think it worked out for them because, oh, there's Graceful.
No.
Oh. Well.
Oh, that's Gambit. Do you think Gambit are going to make a play here onto Clique? I'm not too sure they will, but that can be an occurrence. But at this point in time, of course, Clique have heard the noises, and they're going to be making sure that they protect themselves first off. But here comes another fight. Taxi put into the fight here. Beautiful havoc work, but it's going to be actually Oxbow that takes down his teammate Yuki. So now it's going to be Taxi that has to put up a good fight. And he does indeed. Actually, it's his teammate that takes Oxbow down. Let's see how this one goes down, Nori.
It's actually Myth that decide to try and take that third party, and Clique coming up on the back foot here, get completely taken down. Super unfortunate there. Now, I feel like they were trying to rotate away from another fight and just kind of walked into a third party situation there. Shiv, what did you think about how that fight went down for Clique?
I mean, it was quite interesting because usually this is where Clique usually lands, right? But Alliance, you see them land normally across the map. Like, this isn't usually their normal landing spots, so they're playing quite aggressively and not really to the game plan that I thought they would usually play and where they usually land. It's kind of interesting. Like, everyone's playing, they're just going crazy.
Yeah, this is, that's what I'm trying to. I'm just trying to point at the screen at the top right. Some absolute craziness is going down. Myth tried to do a bit of a retribution for Clique's earlier fight, and then Navi got involved. Navi went down. Gambit is now into a fight. I'm not too sure who, but it looks like they've downed Myth. So Myth is out of the game as well. This is just going nuts. What the actual?
And it carries on.
Yeah, and it's just not stopping. Okay, here's the point. We know from BRs, well, I know from my previous experience in BRs that the last day is usually the bloodiest because teams that are on the bottom or teams that do want to improve their placement and they don't much care on the place they're currently at, they're going to go aggressive for the extra point for kills. But this kind of aggression is just absolutely insane. Here's another chance for Leo to take one more frag down. It doesn't look like it's going to be happening here. Instead, he chooses to regroup with his team. But what a start of a game are we having?
This is so reminiscent of day one when we had such a W key favored point system. And as you said, now with teams kind of everything on the line, it's the do or die day. They really want to start racking up those points. And it's turning into a bloodbath. It's insane to see how aggressive these teams are being when we kind of expected them to go a little bit more towards placement. We are ring closing, round one closing. We have 12 squads left. That is unheard of in competitive Apex.
That is absolutely insanity. Again, you know, in BRs it's normal that the last day of a tournament is usually the bloodiest, but 12 squads before the first circle closes in is something I've never seen. just
There's
insane.
no one left.
There's no one left to fight. Yeah, we're gonna be watching a dead game basically by the end of it. But yeah, holy smokes, 12 squads, big brass on everybody that took that fight, and it looks like Gambit I think came out on top. But yeah, it was anybody's game at that point.
And it's so dense towards Thermal Station. There are so many teams that are grouped up there trying to find their spot. They're probably just going to be taking pot shots at each other across the map. Meanwhile, we've still got teams rotating in from the other side of the map because it's still round 1. This is absolutely ridiculous to watch.
Yeah, it's just out of this world great. Shiv, is this something normal that you play in ALGS, or what do you think about this? It's just crazy.
I mean, this seems more like a kill race tournament at this point. Like everyone's killing each other. Like you don't see this in ALGS. It's more passive. You know, everyone's trying to survive and stuff. This is just crazy. It's like 4 teams fighting off a drop here. You know, it's I don't know.
Yeah, absolute insanity. There was a quick loot period, and then they all kind of went at each other's throats. No time to think, no time to to do anything else but fight, and that was just dog world out there. But yeah, crazy start of the game. We'll see if this one continues in the next matches. Let's actually keep an eye on that. Everybody that's viewing at home, let's keep an eye on if this continues. This trend of early engagements continue in the next matches. I think it might just.
I'm just going to see if we can get production to pop up the list of teams so we can see who has died already, because that was so chaotic. It was really difficult for us to actually keep track. It might just take them a second or two to get that up on the screen. But then we'll just be able to have a look and see who is still alive. I see Paradise from Wygers has just gone down, so it looks like Wygers is out. There we go. So we got Triumph out, B100, Myth, Clique, Wygers, KNO, Alliance are out, Na'Vi out. Those are 2 of our top performing teams in this tournament. Yeah. Jeez, that first fight, those first couple third, fourth, fifth party fights in that first zone have been absolutely insane. And now teams have actually got a lot of space to move around, but I think they need to be careful with their rotations here, because if you get caught mid-rotation, it's going to be painful.
Yeah, for sure. You know who's laughing all the way to the bank? That's SJP2.
Oh,
they're still in the match and on the 3rd place. After this game, they're going to be on the 2nd place, more than likely. So they're having a great time right now, knowing that Na'Vi and Alliance are out of the current match. Puts them in a great pace. They just got to be careful, play a bit slow, play for placement. They've seen the kill feed, so they know what's going on. For them, I would say they probably will adjust their game style to a bit of a more passive style. Try and get that center spot early on. Try and make sure you stick as close to the center as possible and you engage in less fights. Because otherwise, if you play edge, as some teams do play edge gaming, then you're going to be putting yourself in some dangerous situations.
Well, it's going to be just as dangerous moving in towards Thermal Station, because as I mentioned, there was quite a dense population of teams there. And if anybody sees you rotating in, that could put you in danger. And that's why this Watson, we're seeing it right now with the teleporter, why it's such an integral part of every composition. The assistance that she creates in safely rotating, getting through open areas is just unparalleled. And now North have managed to rotate a little bit into the zone, a little bit closer, and they're going to be setting up a nice little spot for themselves on this high ground so they can make sure nobody's aggressing in on them.
You meant Wraith with the teleport, but
what did I say?
Watson, but I know you know the game. Yeah, I know you did. I know you know the game in and out, so that's cool. But yeah, it's I think SJP, look, they've already seen enemies and they're kind of moving towards their position. I'm not too sure what Denzi's trying to do here, but at the time I would definitely advise on a more passive style. Denzi now takes some pot shots at enemies that are below him and below the structure that he's looking at here. It doesn't look like it's going to be a kill, or it doesn't look like it's going to be a manhunt. There shouldn't be a manhunt, I'm saying this, but then again, okay, all right, there's going to be a manhunt.
Manhunt.
All right, never mind, Denzi, never mind the broadcaster that has that little bit of an experience. Oh, it looks like they did take down Taylor. That's who it was. Okay, so Taylor got I think that was the end of it.
Well, Taishin also went down in the lava, which was super unfortunate. Now Mandy's been knocked as well. Oh, Mandy dead, in fact. Gets thirsted there by North. So VP still somewhat firmly in this. And of course,
Oh, Taylor's still up. Okay.
Yeah, they got him back up. He's back in the fight, and they've got themselves a really good position up here on this high ground. Tons and tons of cover to make use of. Of course, the Watson portal. What am I saying? The Watson shield generator there, and of course all the fences to give them that little bit of extra cover. And now they can just sit up here, and it really is fish in a barrel. Anybody that walks within line of sight, they're gonna get dinked.
Oh yeah, for sure. And this is VP's playground. This is the way they love to do things, right? They just prop themselves up on high ground. They take shots 360. Them having a sniper or a wingman means that's pretty much GG for everybody else. They're very, very dangerous at a distance, VP, so they are. And the place they're in right now, giving them 360 means that nobody can really come into them without getting killed. So they know they're kind of safe for the time being. It's just that the zone might move away from them with the next shift. We'll see how that one goes later on.
And I believe Jay Savage has a Mastiff. So nobody's going to be wanting to get too close to him right now. I actually did see him take down someone in the kill feed a little bit earlier on. So that puts him at very dangerous at short range. And Nook's got the G7 Scout. So they've got long range and short range basically covered here. They might want to find themselves a slightly better position to hold from. Because it feels a little bit open where they are now.
Yeah, we'll see how that one works here. What do you think, Zippet? I'm thinking Evo might be a good choice for trying to build up your shield, but considering that the game is as quiet as here, how would you, I don't know, what would you employ to make sure that your shield goes up?
That sounds like a Shiv question.
Yeah, that is a Shiv
Yeah,
question.
I mean, I would, if I have a Evo shield, I'd rather play passive so I can just take pot shots and poke from afar to charge it up.
Are you using a voice changer?
No. And my mic is bugged sometimes though. It gets really
your mic is
deep.
bugged.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
Okay, man.
Yeah, Boogie's mic was bugged yesterday. It turned out he needed to update his drivers, so...
Is it bugged here as well? Is it really deep?
Yeah, it couldn't go deeper than this, but yeah, we had some problems here too. We'll talk about it with the break, no problem at all. But yeah, I think Evo running at this point in time, it's kind of a good thing because you can relax a little bit and you can take pot shots, but the zone is made such a way that you can't necessarily see too many players if you have Evo. Well, Epsilon here does see some players and they're going to take some shots.
You can see just enough to get a couple of pot shots, and sometimes that's all you need. Really just start chipping away at enemy resources, because the fewer resources the enemy has, the sooner you can get that initial knock that allows you to go for the W key, you know, push in there and take down the last two members of the team. Because again, as we mentioned, teams are really going to be trying to rack up as many points as possible. And we did see when we looked at the scoreboard that there is quite a distance that these teams need to go if they want to snag that first place. Alliance going down so early is great for a lot of these teams, but it won't be enough, particularly for the slightly lower ranked teams in terms of points right now. So they're really going to be trying to look for those openings that they can push in, get those kills, and then retreat back to safety.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's exactly what they're going to be doing, trying their best to make sure that they encroach as many points as possible, of course, by kills. As we were saying earlier, if you get yourself, 8 kills, then you pretty much have set yourself in a top 10 position, regardless of where you actually end up, right? Because 1 point, 1 kill. 1 kill, 1 point. But yeah, we'll see how that one goes. Also, Senny, in the meantime, with the triple. Okay, let's see if the triple take actually does. It's kind of a bit of a viable thing. I saw Mandy, I think it was earlier on from North, that had a frag as well with triple take. But yeah, there we go. Circles does sway south, and it does not favor a lot of the teams. You see the teams, VP was on thermal station, and there's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that are outside. They're going to be making their way in. This finally is going to be a bit of a bloodbath.
That's actually an interesting position for Kula as well. They got one person that's way out of bounds there that needs to move back in at some point. And we were talking about SJP2 a little bit earlier on. They really are sitting pretty right now. But they're also going to need to start making that rotation, unfortunately. All the gear in the world isn't going to mean much if you are not in the zone. So nice little portal is going to come through from Denze. But that does alert a lot of teams to where they are. So they're going to need to take this rotation very carefully.
Taylor's looking towards that angle. It doesn't seem like he can actually see much, but in the meantime, Denze does find an enemy close by. He tries to take him down with the R99, swapped after the Peacekeeper. Not too much damage done, but no problem at all. Denze does have the big shield on him. His teammates are going to be holding on angles as soon as they're healed up, and at that point, they might just be going aggressive. You definitely need to have this path cleared because neither of the teams are in the zone.
And it looks like one member remains from Ad Hoc as we see 2 go down. So that could bring down the number of teams very soon. And we got a little Smaug's cake going on there. Saw a lot of those shield batteries as well. So Gambit not going to be making too many large rotations out of zone for now. Just doing some looting. Oh, that's exactly what they're doing. I love it. They're on a treasure hunt and they're just collecting as much stuff as possible to make this little Smaug treasure cave as beefed up as possible. And that way they want to ensure that no one can win a fight against them.
Yeah, exactly. If you hoard this late into the game and you definitely have a good compound to keep, then you can take as many shots as you want, knowing that the probability of you going down is less likely when you have so many shields lying around and so much ammo to shoot with, right? So this is actually a great idea by Gambit. We'll see how it pays out. In the meantime, VP have not made a move. They're going to be playing playing the zone. They're going to be moving a bit slower there. As soon as the zone moves in, they're going to be making their move as well. Here you see the zone encroaching. It's going to be very, very likely that they'll move in the next 2 seconds. Here they go. Let's see how this one works out. They do have a zip line, but in the meantime, they're going straight into enemy fire. We'll see how that turns out for them.
Well, for the moment, they haven't really taken much damage. Seems a lot of these teams are a little bit preoccupied. I see Jay Savage getting a kill there with the Mastiff. So he's definitely getting value out of that one. But the ring continues to close in, and now they are getting into close quarters here. And this is where the fight will start to happen for them. They're running straight into GamersOrigin, who are getting destroyed by a bombardment from who knows where. There's just so much action going on as the ring continues to close in. Kill feed is absolutely popping off as teams getting caught out in the middle of their rotation slowly get taken down one by one. I think that's VP out, in fact, as Pierre gets bled out. We're going to be here on LG, who seem to have a good rotation, but very soon going to have to move as well because they are way out of the circle.
Yep, it was Cooler indeed that got VP. They were the team that were close to them. And it looks like they're still putting up a fight here with Nook and the rest of Lazarus. We'll see how this one pans out. In the meantime, though, it looks like they don't need to take this fight, but it does look like Lazarus have the upper hand considering where the next zone is going to be. Some nice shields dropped, of course. It does look like Epsilon style also removed from the game. So we're down to the top 8. And yeah, look at that zone. That's pretty much going to leave 2 or 3 teams max inside of it, because the 2 teams that are already inside are going to make sure that no one gets a chance to enter, right?
Yeah, and unfortunately, kind of sad we don't have that Alliance caustic for this teeny little zone, but you know what? It do be like that sometimes. And I've actually seen, so what we saw during the week, a lot of teams started running that caustic as well, and we see it here with Jules as well. So we might get to see a little bit of that gas trap action in the final circle after all. But a lot of teams seem to be moving towards using caustic as well, because they're realizing just how much value he brings to a composition, how much space denial you can get out of those caustic traps. And it's been really interesting to see, because you can take out an entire team just by putting out a couple of caustic traps.
Yeah, that is true. In the meantime, though, it does look like there's a ton of loot for Den side here. We'll see how well they use it into the next zone, because they can take it with them, obviously. Not that big enough of a backpack, but they do spot enemies. They will have to become more proactive here, because the zone is closing in and it's doing so very, very fast. But in the meantime, they do spot an enemy just behind them here. It's going to be Sonya trying to take the shots. It won't be needed. It looks like LG do the work for him, and Team GamersOrigin are out of the team. But at this point in time, a quick show up through the portal, and Stanix is ready for it, but not too ready it seems. LG come out on top for just for a second, because it does seem like LG get taken down by the ring.
And now we've just got Lazarus left alive here. Who else is left standing? Cooler, Lazarus, and Gambit were the last ones standing. And now we're trying to see who's actually going to win this out, because the fights have still been going on. None of the teams have had a moment of respite to get their shielding back up. It's just hiding behind cover, trying to get as much back as you can. We've got a team fighting in the gas here, and they're just slowly getting chunked away. Jay Savage goes down, and that is Lazarus out of the fight. It is Cooler v Gambit. Oh, we weren't expecting this in the final for the first match, but I'm here for it. Last man standing. Oh, can Gambit take the win?
We'll see if they can indeed, but in the meantime, it does look like one of the gentlemen from Cooler took a Peacekeeper to the face. Right now, it's time for Leo to fall down. It does look like Sign is responding well with a Mastiff. Nonetheless, of all the weapons in the world, with Gambit, might just be making that push. Res Shield, not able to do much in this here situation, and it is indeed a GG in the first match. I think it was for Gambit. But,
I think so as well.
Pretty well played as well. For that end circle, that was a closer that was for the books, for the ages.
Yeah, it was really well played there. No finishes, unfortunately. Didn't have too much of that BM this time around. But wow, what a crazy match. Okay, so let's we have a graphic that we use that shows where all the teams usually drop and kind of where they try to rotate around. So we'll just give it a sec to see if we can get that up on the screen. But Shiv, tell us what you kind of observed during that first match, because let's face it, that first round was a mess.
Well, from the beginning, we saw like 4 teams fight right at the beginning. I don't know if there was a train or something that went through there at Thermal Station, but if there was, maybe teams were going for that. But it was just crazy at the beginning. There was 4 teams fighting, and then from there, people were just trying to get positioning right at Thermal Station. So I mean, everyone moved in and tried their best to move in, but there's only like 11 squads left, right? It wasn't that congested, but obviously end game, people were playing placement. They were trying to rotate in, and yeah, a lot of teams fell. Of course, definitely. Trying to make their rotation.
True.
But
true,
I mean,
true.
I don't know what to say. I mean, it was just crazy from the get-go, as in teams
Yeah.
fighting so aggressively from
Yeah,
the
I mean
beginning.
that's
You
completely
know,
expected.
like you don't see that from like other tournaments. I mean, I don't know how much emphasis there is on kills in this tournament, but
1 point.
it seems 1 point. I mean, that's the same as other tournaments, right? Kind of thing, like one
Yeah, yeah.
point.
Yeah,
So I mean, it's
I think it was
I
super
don't know.
surprising for all of us. It's hard to do like a proper analysis on that just because of how out of the ordinary it was. Here's that image. Good job, production.
Yeah, so we see Clique did land where they were supposed to land. They took the fight with Myth, or actually Myth took the fight with them later on. I'm not too sure who they got dropped on earlier on. I think it was Alliance, or no, it was JM's team, I think. Yeah, yep, that's what it was indeed.
JMW Triumph, yeah.
Yeah, so Triumph actually went down with Clique, so that was an unexpected drop by them. I think that's kind of what set the wheels in motion for that insane drain of kills that we had the start of last round. But yeah, I know this is the worst kind of case for you, Shiv. You're dropping in here as an analyst, and the first match you're being shown is an absolute, I don't know, like it's a show.
Clown fiesta.
It's a clown
Crazy.
fiesta.
Clown fiesta, as they say. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, well, you know what? That's going to be it for game 1. We'll be back very shortly for game 2, and hopefully it's less messy so we can actually bring you some big brain thoughts on that one. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Welcome back, guys. I'm still reeling from that first match. What an absolute nightmare. Let's take a look at the results from that match. I'm going to bring up the scores for you in just a second so we can see how that has affected the standing. So there we go. Alliance has not really moved. Unfortunately, went down quite early. In fact, our top 5 hasn't really changed at all. It's just been a little bit of shuffling further down as we saw some of those other teams slowly starting to make their way further up the points level. I think, in fact, SJP2 went from 3rd place to 2nd place. If I remember, they were on 160. So they got a nice little 4 points there, bring themselves up into that 2nd place slot.
But this fight is not going to end here and now. I mean, if anything, it's still going to be going, right, Chef? I mean, SJP2 and Na'Vi seem to be the trend of the night. We also have to kind of take a glance if Alliance stay on that top. They also need a consistent night to make sure that they end up in first place.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on the top 2 teams for sure. They're definitely the ones we want to look out for.
They've been shining stars. I mean, even their players have been raking in the kills. Just on their, I believe, Mandy and who was the other one? Impulse. From Na'Vi and from North have just been raking in kills this entire tournament. So those are definitely some of the teams to watch. But I've been enjoying seeing how some of the other teams are slowly starting to sneak their way up the ladder.
Yeah, it's a good climb. It's finally the day to see the dust settle in, to see which ones of the teams. That's why you're seeing so much blood. That's why you're seeing so much kind of force to get those extra points. Because the teams that are kind of at the far back, they want to make sure that they get just a bit more by those kills, right? So we say dust settling, but right now it's actually it's such a kerfuffle that the dust is even, starting to cloud their thinking, I would say.
Yeah, I think this is the opposite of dust settling, as we see the stampeding boots of teams rushing into one another for those 3rd, 4th, 5th parties. The dust had settled, and now it's a mess. We're creating a sandstorm over here, out there in where was it all happening? It wasn't in Skyhook. It was it Survey Camp?
Yeah, it was Survey.
Yeah. So there's a tornado brewing in Survey Camp. Curious to see if it's going to happen again. The one thing we didn't actually comment on at the start of that game was, of course, the Cooler BDS rivalry. I didn't even get to see if that was still going on. So that's definitely something I'm going to be looking out for as we jump into game 2.
Yeah, that's a good point. We got to look over that. So, Chef, basically what happened in the first 2 or 3 days was the BDS and Cooler were taking a fight, and there you go. We're actually going to be spectating them. Who's going to be looting the east side of this particular spot? But it does look like neither of the team wanted to back off, and more often than not, it was Cooler that won the fight. Things don't change, man. Things don't freaking change.
Oh my god.
Can you imagine?
As we were saying.
Just off spawn, pick up a nade, toss it at someone, hope for the best, and actually get it down. So Cooler immediately on the front foot here. No, he falls in the gas.
That is not good. That's definitely not his team gas. As you can see, his team comp does not have a caustic. So need to be a bit careful there, because the caustic from the enemy team has been alerted. Yeah, this one works. Very nice barriers set just so early. These fences set so early by Cooler are definitely going to be a spatter thrown in the ranks. But Krama actually uses it to his 200 IQ big brain, just kind of hides behind him, and that nets him down. It's actually a good down, because Psychoc can actually kind of rake up the rest of it. Oh, nice little backstab by Krama, putting Stein down. And they know that there's just one more person left here. They're trying to scout him, and that's it. Cooler's out of the game. BDS came out on top. QT Santi unfortunately down, but they have a recovery point so close that it actually doesn't really matter.
You know what? They won the most important fight of all, and that is that, this is their drop spot. And they're finally starting to assert that dominance. They can still potentially get that revive off. It could be a little bit dangerous, of course, with so many teams crawling all over the map here, but possible that they might just be able to get him back up. I love that every time we spectate them these days, it seems they win out that fight. Maybe that was the magic ingredient they were missing. Production.
All right, yeah, that was definitely it.
The personal cheering squad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go. We're cheerleaders now. But yeah, I'm actually happy to see the boys make it. We'll see how far they can take it this year game. In the meantime, though, we're looking at Lazarus here, a team that we haven't necessarily seen do too much. But then again, in BR, that's not such a bad thing. If you're not doing too much and you're kind of keeping safe, that means your rotations are working. So we'll see if the rotations are working today for Lazarus, as we were saying in the first game. And if they do, they might actually have a decent chance to bump up themselves.
They're going to need to loot a little bit more before they find themselves a nice little spot to hide out, though. Looking a little bit worse for wear for the moment. But, of course, it is just straight off spawn. So you don't expect to drop into 3 gold armors and, like Mastiffs. It just doesn't happen. So we'll give them a chance to get that going for themselves. And while they're doing that... Oh, poor Nook, man. He's the one that's still chilling, but he's got the Evo shield, so that's actually not too bad. It's all right that it's low level, because he's going to have an opportunity to plow some damage through and hopefully build that up as quickly as possible. Need to be careful, of course, because as soon as you start taking those shots, you do alert the entire map to your position.
Oh, yeah. But if there's ever a time to boost up your Evo, it's definitely at the start of a game when you can take pot shots in rotations. But it's also much easier if you can do that if you're on the edge of the zone, so that teams come towards you and then they can re-rotate. Nobody wants to take fights to the death at the start of the game. Well, okay, I'll see that, but then again, last game was the way it was. But it does look like we're not seeing the craziness that we saw the first game. I would love an interview with either of the gentlemen from Clique, Navi, Myth, Triumph. Well, actually, Triumph were the only guys that were on the back foot. They didn't necessarily had an aggressive setting into that, but I'd love to hear what the thought was behind, if there was a thought plan behind the aggression on first game.
That's actually interesting because I think Triumph were like the complete opposite. They were just chilling, and next thing they had like 4 teams running towards them, and they're like, what do we, what? And they kind of like got forced back into the out of bounds, and they had to try and fight their way through it. But of course there were like 3 or 4 teams aggressing in that direction. There was just no way they were surviving through that one. So I think they were the very ones that got caught off guard. They were just trying to, they were vibing, and their vibe got destroyed.
Yeah, they were vibing. Talking about vibing, Shiv, would you have a place in particular, let's say in this here circle, knowing the circle too as well, would you have a particular place where you and your team would like to camp?
Honestly, if I was playing in the tournament, in this ring, I'd probably want to take center circle as much as as best I can, just so I can play around that and not have to worry too much about where my positioning is. So I'll try and rotate into center circle as best I can and just hold that position as long as possible. But,
getting close to the circle is indeed a viable strat. It's one of the viable strats that works in Apex Legends. We do know a team that is over in DNA. TSM are known to do that more often than not. And there you go. There had to be a broadcast that we brought up that team name at some point in time. Yeah, TSM are well known for doing the center strat thing, and it works for them most of the time, right? But yeah, that's definitely one of the ways you can do it. The other way is you can play edge, of course, Shiv. You can get as many kills as possible playing edge. You have to do sweeping. Sweeping circles is what we call when you make sure that there's no teams left and right. But let's have a look at this here. Nine Impulse is actually getting dinked down heavily. What the hell is going on?
Well, he does have an opportunity at least to try and get that shielding back up. They are going to drop that Watson ultimate as well, just to give themselves a little bit of breathing room. And I haven't seen who they got engaged into. Obviously, it wasn't in the kill feed because he didn't go down, thankfully for him. But it seems that team is probably still around, so they are going to need to be playing this one a little bit more safely. Dropping meds for each other just to make sure they can get themselves back up to full HP. It's still so early in the game. Looting clearly hasn't been to their favor, at least for the moment. So really just scraping by to get back up to full HP.
Yeah, for sure. And this is kind of a thing that they do. Loot piles are well known in comp games. So what you do is when somebody takes too much of something, they're going to be dropping it, and then the other teammates can pick up what they need. They also have quick calls for it. But we'll go into quick calls in just a second, because right now it does seem like Lazarus are in a fight that they don't want to take any longer. They're on the back foot now, considering that nobody's in the zone and the round is closing in. They definitely want to make sure that they're into safety first, and then they can keep the enemy team out. But Nook takes a ton of damage. Now it's up to his team to actually save him while he heals up.
That's the thing though, that tech from the Pathfinder is great, being able to use that grapple and launching yourself forward, but of course you're in the sky, you're so vulnerable, and they chunk half of his HP as he tries to escape here, and it looks like B100 are possibly the team that's aggressing in on them, but Friedman needs to be quite careful because he's also taken a chunk of damage here, and this is a very dangerous situation for both these teams, trying to leverage the little bit of cover that they have. We got B100 kind of on the back foot here, retreating into zone, in fact. And like, this is a different kind of sweeping. This is when you sweep the team into the circle so that they die.
Absolutely, Lazarus seems to be having a nice, easier time, and B100 does go down. I think we saw LG go down just a bit earlier on as well, so that's important teams. They're eliminated earlier on. But yeah, it does look like Lazarus do come out on top. Very smart play for them to back off and pull the Watson ult as fast as they did, and also putting down some nice fences. That allowed them to create basically a quote-unquote compound to which to protect themselves in.
Yeah, they did well to use that cover as well. There was just a couple of boxes there, but peeking out every now and then just to get a couple of picks. Of course, you don't peek the same spot. You peek left and right and try and fandangle your opponent, and it did work out quite well for them. But now we're here on Wygers, and they're also in a little bit of an engage. Not quite as spicy as game one. We still have 16 squads in ring 2, but we are slowly starting to see squads dropping off. And Oh man, Taxi already with a Kraber, and he's got such a good position on this high ground. He can see so much of the map.
Yeah, this is where VP was the last game, and this is definitely a weapon that you want to have up here for Taxi. It's the ideal situation, right? He's got an Evo, and he's got a Kraber, and he's got to have it. So for him, it's not going to be too easy to get to Red Shoe. We'll see how soon it takes him to get to that point, but for the time being, it looks like they're not going to be contested. The only thing that they do need to worry about is their western and their south side, where teams might just end up in from, right? So Taxi wants to make sure that there's nobody pushing it from that angle there, and if he does spot anything, he will go back to his teammates. Shiv, is there anything to be said here about this passive kind of hold? Oh, this is actually a good idea for him.
Oh, I mean, I think they're sticking good to a good game plan. They're just playing positioning and placement. They're sticking in thermal station here. Looks like they're gonna be playing edge though, so they're gonna have to move into tree. A lot of teams congesting that choke point there, so they're gonna have to eventually rotate into that. And I think CLQ will have some trouble trying to rotate in that way.
Yeah, you're right.
And there's also two other teams to the left as well that could potentially backstab them if they choose to take the same route. So
yeah, that's true. They do have a
for
team
now,
close.
yeah, like for now, I think CLQ are good, but it'll be in the next few minutes we'll decide how
Decide
it goes
their
for them, I
fate.
think.
Yeah,
decide their
true,
fate.
true.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, there is actually Lazarus that might be approaching them. This might be a fight indeed between Clique and Lazarus.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this is gonna go down. I don't think
Yeah.
that Clique, as aggressive as they were last round, I don't think they're gonna be too tame in this one here. So they definitely want to make sure that while they're trying to carve a path forward, that their backs are not being pushed. So this is gonna be the first team that they actually engage on and turn around and try to make the best of it.
I like to see that Nook has managed to build up that Evo shield quite well. And he's running with that charge rifle. And I tend to see a lot of players that grab an Evo shield tend to have a charge rifle. This is like a pattern that I'm seeing here. I think maybe it's just because the charge rifle just does so much damage still. And of course, with World's Edge being such an open map, anytime you see an ant crossing a field, you can just start beaming them down from range. Because if I remember correctly, there was no damage fall off from the charge rifle. You can just beam people from the other side of the planet and build up that Evo quite well. So Nook doing a pretty good job there. And now we're back on Triumph. Graceful hasn't got that shielding back up. Interesting.
Yeah, but all things considered, where they are right now with the passive setup that they have going, and with the Watson ult, they shouldn't necessarily get into a fight too early. But Gambit, in the meantime, have something else to say about that. They're going to be making a push towards their enemies. It looks like Wygers are going to be just on the other side here. Nice knock from Leo, but Leo's down on HP as well, considering as well the Hardic he has being thrown out of the game. And Leo with just a sliver of life. It's going to be down to Artico. Try and help him out. Nope, that's not going to be happening. Myth is going to be taking him down. Artico, in the meantime, finds someone else from Myth. But I don't think Artico's days are anything else but numbered, considering how low he is on HP and shield.
I'm not even sure if that was Myth the whole time. It felt like it might have been a second team there. But yeah, Myth and Wyger, in fact. So this is a bit of a third party going on here as Myth take over the fight from Wyger, which means that Artico might actually be in a safe position now as Myth are completely occupied and won't be able to try and get the thirst.
And for the viewers at home as well, it does look like things have quieted down just a little bit there. Oxbow did take down Leo. But for the viewers at home, Shiv, is there anything to be said about third-partying and how you can best defend yourself from it?
Honestly, with third-partying, it's gonna be a part of the game. Like all you can really do is try your best to just keep yourself healthy and just delay the fight as long as possible. And I don't know, you just have to survive. If one of your teammates gets knocked, you're in a huge disadvantage. I don't know, you just have to delay the fight as much as possible. So once you won your fight, you're probably gonna get third fight after a fight. But I mean, I don't know, whatever you can do to reposition, to heal up and keep yourself in the game and the fight, and be ready to attack the enemy team, you should be good. I mean, it's a hard one. Third partying, it's honestly a hard thing to defend against. But I mean, you just gotta make do. You just gotta try your best, and
Yeah, for sure. So what I'm taking away from this is try to take as many pot shots as you can while your teammates heal up, and that way you can keep teams at a distance. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Oh, Jill's actually close to red. 95 damage left for the next Evo. We'll see if he does get that one in time, but indeed looks like the charge rifle is doing great work. In the meantime, though, it does look like Savage has been brought up. That's great news for Team Lazarus, who have made it quite far here. Looks like they seem to have avoided Clique in their rotation inside. However, in the meantime, Paradise is taking some pot shots far away from him, does not need to engage for the time being because they are safe in the zone.
Seems we've got a couple of teams here that are potentially in a little bit of danger. Now, no team's aggressing just yet. You know, we keep talking about how you play for placement. Placement is the name of the game. That's what you want to be doing here. Of course, those kills do count, but more than anything else, Battle Royale, last man standing. It's in the name. So we might see a couple pot shots get taken, and of course we know as the ring continues to get smaller, this area will become far more condensed with teams, especially because we still have 16 teams alive. Again, this is playing out way more slowly, way more tactfully than what we saw in game one. This is kind of more what we were expecting to be happening as we moved into this last day of the competition.
1000%. And right now, for the time being, it looks like Wygers, the team that we're looking at here, just want to take some pot shots themselves. They don't seem to have evos of their own, but it's always good to try and keep your enemies open and just to let them know that this is not a crossing ground. Some good shots being taken here by Robbie, and it's also very good that they're dinking down their resources. Every single shot you take is going to be a shield that the enemy team is going to have to put back on. So while Paradise holds the back angle, it does look like Robbie and Crip are going just slightly a bit more aggressive.
It looks like we've got a couple of teams in a bit of an engagement as this kill feed is getting lit up. And there's like 3 or 4 different teams, but it looks like Clique finally get taken down. We spoke about how they needed to be careful in their rotation, and well, there you go. Their fate was decided, and fate had in store for them death. Lots and lots of death. And more teams going down. We're already down to 14 squads, in fact. Now, I think it might have been Lazarus that went down there. Epsilon, 1 man left standing at the moment. I mean, this is so dangerous for all of these teams as they try so hard to make their way in. And as I say that Epsilon goes down, already 13 squads, 3 squads getting wiped in 1 rotation.
Yeah, I'm also pretty sure that VP only have 2 mana, but I'm not 100%. Yeah, there you go. Now they definitely don't have the 3-man roster. But that being said, SJP are having, again, a field day here. However, Seaback gets caught from behind. Needs to be careful. Jelly might be able to help him out here. Denze down below won't be able to do too much here, so it's just up to Jelly to try and fend off whoever is attacking them from the south side. But it doesn't look like the attack is going to be continuing. It was just a pot shot that did not result into a knock. So actually, Seaback is going to go hunting. All right, this is going to make for an interesting play because what they're doing right now is they're making sure that whoever was against them will not come against them, well, for the second time.
I mean, even 13 squads, even in round 4, this is still, it's quite crazy. And I think that last little fight that happened in that mid-rotation there to get those 3 teams down in one little fight, that was also kind of unheard of. It doesn't happen too often to have that many teams go down in one massive fight. And so now there's a little bit more room to breathe for the teams that were left. Areas that were more highly congested will, of course, have a little bit more space now. There's a little bit more space to rotate. And Artico is still alive. Are you kidding me?
And he's using the perfect skin for it, too. Look at the snake, Shiv. Is there...
Camouflaged.
It's just... It works perfect, right?
I mean, he is solo. He has to rat at this point, as we say.
Or
hide. Yeah, definitely.
You have no other choice. Absolutely.
You have no other choice. Exactly, yeah. Just gotta get that placement.
Yeah. And a lot of these teams seem to be at least 1 man down. I'm not too sure how many squads are still 3-man heavy at this point. We've had so many crazy fights happening. Oh, Artico goes down finally. I think he's got a res shield though. No, he did. He gone. And now again, rotations start happening and immediately teams start going down in the middle of their rotations. How is this happening? Are there teams that have just found themselves godlike positions and as soon as teams start rotating, they're just taking those shots from distance? How do you get so many amazing team fights and teams just falling like flies per rotation?
Well, that's kind of what the circle does, right? I mean, it forces teams to fight one another. But in the meantime, we do see SJP2 also losing a member, and Alliance are out of the game as well. So they're out on 12th place, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it does seem to be the case here. But it's just, it does look like a lot of the top. No, actually, Wifes is still into the game. We'll see how that one pans out later on. But North are 3 men strong. We have to make a call for that because, Nori, you made a good point that not a lot of teams are actually 3 strong at this point in time. So having 3 people up definitely will make some sort of a change.
And it seems like BDS are still in it. I just had to bring that up. They've been doing quite well there.
Nice.
So yeah, it always makes me happy to see the underdog start to perform a little bit better. We're gonna be back here on North. Oh, Taishin, look at that. Sentinel R301. Dude is absolutely stacked. Getting ready. And both, oh man, golden R301 as well. Are you kidding me? That is some dirty loot right there.
Yeah, with the Anvil on top, that's going to make a world of difference. But at this point in time, we're looking at AHG, and it does look like Matafe has taken some damage from his enemies. With the zone being where it is, and with the movement that they need to make towards the south side, this might end up into a fully fledged fight unless they find a little bit of a nook to hide in. Matafe, losing the entirety of his shield, has to re-shield up now, and they just do that inside, close by an enemy team, using that drop shield very, very quickly from Zippet to try and make themselves a play here.
A nice little rotation there, got themselves fairly into safety, so they have managed to survive. One of the few 3 strong teams that we do have left for the moment, and they found themselves a nice little position here. In fact, it seems the team was here earlier but have abandoned their position, and now they've taken it over. Yoink, my spot now, and it's providing a lot of cover for them as well. So if they can set up a nice little bunker for themselves there, then they might be looking good as we move into this last ring. Na'Vi, we kind of just spotted them for a moment, and they're also not 3 strong, so not looking too great as the kill feed continues to get lit up as teams try desperately to make their way into this next ring.
Yeah, for sure. Triumph also 1 man strong. We'll see how that one works out for him. In the meantime, it does look like Sharp with the mouse quite close by, trying to take some good shots against Victory. They're making some good progress. That should be a knock at this point in time. That's a lot of damage done by Amaz. I'm not too sure how that one was not a knock, but still, it does look like Na'Vi, 2 men strong, are still finding cracks for themselves. In the meantime, here, 9 Impulse close to being knocked, gets knocked indeed. Faiz also quick. That's going to be the end of Na'Vi in this year game on the 8th place.
And again, Dead Inside doing a lot of work here, and I find that Dead Inside, they either have like an game or they just have a fantastic game, and this is clearly one of their better games. Again, they're just doing so much work here. Oh man, Triumph, as you said, 1 man strong, but he gets absolutely annihilated by a team from the back, and now we're going to start to see the team numbers really drop as those last few rats do get ratted out. Myth still 3 strong, however, and that's a great position for them to be in. I know that VP is also still alive, so Piet got a kill there in the kill feed, so just waiting to exactly glean which teams are still left in this itty-bitty little circle.
Okay, now. Alright, looks like Sanya and Stadium are also alive for the inside. They're trying to make some sort of a push here, and they do have the weaponry for it. Let's see if that Massive deals any good damage. Matafi, although in the meantime, does hear them come, so he will take a bit of a more passive angle. In the meantime, however, it's a 360 push against AHG, and it does look like Zippet does put in some good damage. Massive, in the meantime, takes down IPN. VP also falls down. Sorry, Pierre rather falls down for VP by the hands of the same Amaz. However, Sanya, low HP, does manage to actually stay alive, but not for too long. Sadiyama is the only one left here in this here fight for his team, but with Pierre also being taken down for VP, I think that's going to be 1 man strong. Zippet, in the meantime, good shots with the Peacekeeper, puts them down, and also Shield does not make that much of a difference. No knocks coming in just yet.
Defensive bombardment out as well, just to create a little bit of zoning there as he retreats to his own little bubble here. Now we are down to, it's just a Mars. It's a 1v3. Can he clutch it? Can he make the dream? Oh, he couldn't.
I mean, come on, that's just mean. You didn't expect him to. What can you do in a 1v3?
Do you know what? I've seen crazier, okay? I believed in him. I believed in him.
Yeah, but this here time, it doesn't seem to be the case. Indeed, it's going to be a GG for the second match, and it did seem like this one was more evenly distributed, Shiv.
For sure, yeah. This one was definitely what you more so expect from a competitive match, 100%. Like, there was a lot more teams alive. There was, everyone was playing more so for placement this game, 100%. There wasn't 11 teams left by the end of the first circle, so yeah, it's more so what you expect. Everyone playing placement for that end game.
Which is something rare, I suppose, Nori. Let's have a look at the match summary here, though.
Oh wow, Ad Hoc Gaming clutching it out there. Look at those kills as well. What is that? 14 kills?
That's insane, man.
14.
That's
Damn, that is
Crazy, yeah.
dirty. That is like double the amount of points they get for coming in first. So Ad Hoc
Yeah.
really gonna shoot up the ladder here. Even Myth sitting there with 8 kills as well, just really performing out of their minds for this last round. And let's kind of cast your mind back to that last fight because that was really messy. Now, obviously, the numbers advantage plays a massive part in that. I believe coming into that last fight, it was only Dead Inside and Ad Hoc Gaming who were 3 strong. But in terms of like high ground and cover, I feel like Ad Hoc just had an advantage there in where they were positioned. As much as we saw a great rotation from who was it? And I was still complimenting them. Was it Myth? Yeah, they had a really good rotation there, but they just didn't seem to have the right positioning. I don't know how does Ad Hoc Gaming come out on top of that one?
Well, okay, so they've took advantage of the timing there as VP was trying to push into the enemy team's Ad Hoc Gaming was just kind of making sure that they take bot shots without being taken down. They let everybody else fight around them, and when the time was right, they attacked. And well, they didn't have much to attack. It was just one member left. That was a Maz, I think it was. So I think that was a big brain play. Let everybody else fight, and we'll save our breath for the last one.
Pretty well played for
Yeah.
them to not get discovered.
I mean, they did have the high ground. They couldn't get pushed as easily as the other teams. But yeah, that seems to be the name of the game for this year's second match. There's 4 more to go, but that will be coming in just after this quick break.
And we're back. We had a far more understandable second round than what our first round was. And just before we threw it to the break, I had a question about Ad Hoc, and unfortunately we had to throw it because we had to get ready for some other stuff. But we are back, and Shiv, I know you had some thoughts on Ad Hoc's rotation there in that last fight. Give it to me. Lay it on me.
I mean, from analyzing how Ad Hoc play, it seems they always play edge of the zone, right?
Mhm.
But they always they always seem to adapt to their situation. Like even though they're playing zone, they have to move in, and it's gonna be a struggle. They always seem to adapt. That's what seems to be the strongest about adult gaming. What seems to shine. They're always moving in to zone. They're always on edge, always moving in, but they always seem to come out on top. They get the positions. They use their Wraith portal to get position and to rotate, and they always seem to come out on top from that. It's really interesting how they make it work, even though they need to go through so much to get to that end position. It's kind of interesting to see them.
Yeah, for sure. They make it look easy, right? In a
They make it look easy.
Yeah.
For sure. It's crazy. Yeah, it's really good.
So adaptability, that's like super important.
Adaptability.
Yeah.
100%. That's really important for teams.
Was a meme back in the day, I think. Yeah, for sure. Was a meme back in the day in PUBG. It was for adapt, overcome, and whatever else.
Improvise, adapt, overcome. Bear Grylls.
Yeah, that's the one. It is. Yeah, it is. It does ring very, very true in BR. I mean, adapting, because you don't have the set kind of standard strats as you do in Overwatch. You don't have the set kind of timer as you do in Counter Strike. This is not your normal run-of-the-mill type of game. BRs are that much heavier. Your brain always constantly has to find new ways and new kind of forms to make sure that you go into the next zone alive with 3 up, if anything. But yeah, this is a game of adapting, and well, the strongest that have the biggest brains survive here.
Well, okay, so if we take a moment to talk about adaptability, right? The first thing that comes into mind, and like I know I've kind of harped on this a little bit, but BDS Cooler. And the fact that they keep landing in the same spot over and over again. So what is that? Is that ego? Is that like just trying to flex on another team? Why do you not change where you drop?
I don't know at this point. I don't know if they're trying to flex or just troll or what, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you're landing off drop and you're being contested, I think the best thing to do would be to land somewhere safe and by yourself. I mean, I don't think I'd continue doing the same thing if it's not working out.
Well, they've been doing
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, 50-50s off drop are just horrible you just add deficit for the rest of the game if you make a mistake there. And
yeah, they've been doing that for the whole freaking 4 days, man. So
yeah, it's
I mean,
crazy.
that wouldn't make much of a difference. I know why. Like, I get what they're not doing it, because they're saying this is our ground. In another tournament, we're not going to yield as easily, so we're not going to yield as easily now, so that the next tournament we go in, people don't try and crash into our looting compound. But let's have a look at the scores. They are up and ready. Alliance keeping themselves very strong at the top there. SJP2, although making just a slight more adjustment to make sure they're in the second place, but Navi is still close to them. Do we see any surprises here, Nori?
Well, nothing surprising given the last game, but Adhoc have jumped up to 8th place, whereas they were in our bottom 10 a little bit earlier on. Now, what is a little bit surprising to me is that LG and Wygers are still in the bottom 10, and of course, these are some of the most prolific teams. I mean, it's particularly LG, and I kind of mentioned this on Tuesday, or rather Wednesday's broadcast as well. And when we came into the Invitational, it was all the casters going, wow, who is this team? Where did they come from? And you and I knew, and they were absolutely demolishing, and they were getting first place, and they were dropping like 20, 30 bomb games. And now it feels like they're just not getting that grasp into this matchup, and it's a little disappointing to see. I was really expecting them to perform out of their minds, but I gotta say, it's just what I'm loving is how well Alliance is doing. I think they won OT4, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think it was the last one. It was the one before that. And they've just continued to step up their game. Whereas if you look back at Poland, yes, they performed quite well, but they weren't one of those like super, super standout teams. So whereas one team is kind of not at the same pace that they were setting previously, we've got other teams like Alliance, SJP2, Na'Vi that have really, really, really just soared forward and shot up in their skill level recently.
Yeah, it does seem to make a difference though. And also Alliance, they seem to just kind of go into their current roster, right? With IPN, they just seem to gel that much better, seem to have found their pathing, seem to have found their pace, and things are looking beautiful for them. I mean, there's not much to be said. We talked about Alliance a whole lot of deal in the second day, but that was because they were showing up so well. They kept showing up on the top of the scoreboard, and it does make a world of difference when you have that third that you can gel with fine, I think this is a godsend. IBN definitely they can definitely making some moves there with Wives and Hackers. All three of them seem to be working great.
I mean, Shiv, you've been in the scene for quite some time now. Are there any teams here, when you looked at the scoreboard, did anything kind of jump out at you like, whoa, that's weird?
Not really. I mean, this is to be expected, I feel. I mean, all these teams are great. Anything could happen, really, and any of these teams could be at the top or below, or depending on the day. Like, it's anything could happen, really. These are all top teams, and they're all at the top.
I mean, that was something that I mentioned on Wednesday. In fact, when you go into a tournament like the OTs, where you have 300 to 400 teams, and then you get your teams that have made top 20, and you're like, yo, these teams made top 20, they're so cool, oh my god. But when you come into a tournament like this where there are only 20 teams, and then you look at the team in like 19th or 20th place, it gives you this really warped idea like, wow, those two teams are bad. No, they're not. These are some of the top teams in Europe. So as much as they might not be performing exceptionally well in this particular week, do not be fooled. They will wipe the floor with plenty of team.
True.
Yeah, that is a good point. It's just full to the brim with talent, and it does seem like that talent is delivering great content. I mean, apart from the first game tonight, the whole tournament went pretty much as expected. But we've seen some very nice plays, 200 IQ movements. And talking about movements, it's time to move into the game. It is indeed match number 3 after the big back bird was in the sky. We're down to Alliance now, who seem to be happily looting uncontested.
And we're already down to 17 squads. Now, just a reminder, Third Impact had dropped out at the start of, or at the end of day 2. Unfortunately, one of their players wasn't able to continue the tournament, so they decided to drop out. So we drop in with 19 teams, but we're already down to 17. So I'm not too sure. Unfortunately, we missed the first couple of fights. It seems one of our teams actually crashed, which is really unfortunate. And I'm not too sure. You know what? Chances are it was either BDS or Cooler, right?
I mean,
statistically speaking,
with the luck that they've been having, I mean, this is the last thing that they've won. But yeah, hopefully it's not them. Okay, so we're just getting word that from our producer that it was actually LG the one that DC'd, which is unfortunate. I mean, LG, I was honestly hoping that they would be much higher on the scoreboard. But in the meantime, though, we do see a nice little fight rearing its ugly head here. Oxbow does manage to get to safety and pop a first aid kit, pop a health kit, med kit, and they will be retreating to safety for the time being. Whoever was chasing them, I think they might have been Triumph, might just go back, or actually might have been Clique. Yeah, I think it's Clique that was on the chase.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely don't want to take these early round engagements wherever possible. You want to try and avoid as many of these fights as possible because, let's face it, off spawn, you really don't have much to work with. And, it seems we've got 2 teams still alive in Fragment. I wonder if that's BDS and Cooler just kind of dancing around each other over there. But for the moment, I mean, it's getting heavily congested in this mid area of the map at the moment, as so many teams seem to have started rotating in, especially now that the ring has made itself evident.
I think that might be Navi instead of BDS or Cooler. I'm not too sure who got the best of what. But yeah, it does look like Clique was earlier on against Triumph because Taxi just got a knock at the gym. We'll see if that's going to be a push. That is going to be a push. Actually, Yuki's going to be taking a fight. It does look like they're going to be able to put down Matey. So there's just 2 guys. No, there should be 2 guys left, but oh my god! What a drop shot from Yuki to take Graceful down and absolutely wipe the ground with Team Triumph. You don't see that every day, Yuki. You dirty, dirty man.
Trick shot. Oh man, you love to see it. Somebody clip that. Maybe we'll tweet it out. Who knows? That was a really, really great play there from Clique. And again, another one of those instances where they kind of pulled back a little bit, gave themselves a bit of an advantage, baited Triumph in. And as soon as Triumph came into the Spider's lair, it was just easy as pie for Clique to take control of that engagement. But we're going to be swapping over here onto Gambit, who also seem to have found themselves in a little bit of a scuffle at the moment. Again, quite a few early fights as teams have started making their way into the ring, but need to be careful here because it seems we might be having some damage from different directions. This could be 2 or 3 teams encroaching on this spot.
However, considering the circle placement, it does look like they just want to make sure they have as much ground to cover for themselves as possible. But so this shouldn't turn into necessarily a fight. But here, Shiv, I would actually like to ask, while things are kind of low for the time being, do you think it's viable that you control so much space in the context of having to see so many angles and try and hold off so many teams? should you rather go for a more smaller compound?
I think you should try to gain as much space as possible, just to like keep a perimeter, so you can keep an eye on what other teams are doing and keep yourself thinking about what you can do and react to other teams that are close by. I think you should keep some space and
Makes
maintain
sense.
your perimeter. Yeah, I don't
And
think
always
you
have an
should stay
exit strategy,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, always have an exit strategy. Exactly. Yeah, always have keep in control of the playing space.
Yeah. But
Not
backup plan
stay.
seems to be
Yeah.
big here.
Yeah.
Ooh, North are down. Pepe hands. And that is them out very early in this competition in this round. And we actually saw how congested it's getting towards Harvester already with so many teams running that Pathfinder. More than likely, they've all scouted out that is where the ring is moving. And even if they haven't, Boogie, you mentioned it on Wednesday, just circle prediction is so important in this game. And that's exactly what these teams are doing. But of course, as those areas become more and more congested, we might start to see more of those insane rotation fights breaking out where 2 to 3 teams just die.
Yeah, true. And just to touch on circle predictions, because we did talk about it in the second day, but we haven't touched on it today, is the ability of top tier teams to actually read on where the zone is going to end, because you kind of have quote-unquote preset. This is actually a great thing for BRs if you want to turn it into a more competitive esports-oriented type of thing, because it allows the removal of somewhat of RNG, which is definitely something that you want in these here fights. Shiv, did you use any kind of circle readings when you were playing competitively? Or when you do, rather?
Honestly, like I know a lot of people use they try to remember these circle presets and know where the zones are exactly gonna end. Me personally, I mean I haven't played much comp, so I mean I don't go to the point of memorizing where every circle is gonna end. But 100%, it's something you gotta take into account and. No, using Pathfinder, utilizing Pathfinder to know endgame circles, using the beacon will definitely help for your rotations.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely remembering those endgame circles will help 100%.
Check this one out, though.
Oh, man.
come victorious from the earlier fight with Triumph, and it was a beautiful one indeed, but Yuki does seem to be taken down by Kuya. Very, very nice shots with the Peacekeeper. However, it's not over just yet. Looks like AHG are bloodthirsty and are continuing the fight here, Nori.
Yeah, they've already started to climb their way up the leaderboard, as we noticed a little earlier, crawling their way all the way up to 8th place already. But 8th place, too much is never enough, right? And they are continuing to fight their way up. I actually enjoyed watching that little fight between the two Wraiths there, trying to use the barrel for as much cover as they could. But of course, Kohia was the one who managed to come out on top. Ooh! W Series with a nice little spot up here. It's got a little bit of cover. He can see a ton of different directions. And of course, this isn't where they set up their bunker, right? But this is a great way for them to continue getting information while they decide exactly what their next move is going to be.
Yeah, it's a great choke point. You can get a lot of kills here. Shiv, I mean, you can appreciate the quality of getting free kills, especially when you have such a tiny little place that you can hold, right?
100%, yeah. You should be trying to get as many kills as possible. Just taking every opportunity that you can would be great. Each kill point is def for help.
Yeah, for sure indeed. Now,
True.
Looking at IPN right now at this moment in time, it does look like they want to engage into some sort of a fight. Nice little costume bomb drops. Is this one going to yield any results? No, it does look like their enemy team is on the back foot, but if they do decide to go back into the shield, that's going to be a no-no for them. However, IPN very quick to lose armor. Wipes doesn't have much of his own. Neither does their third. So in the meantime, going back through the portal, here comes a third party, and I think it is from Kuya.
Yeah, that's AHG coming in from behind. Super unfortunate for IPN there. I loved what he was doing with the caustic traps to try and create space, pushing that Jibby a little bit further back. But as he took the portal for safety, he just had AHG on their behind and just taking them down. And of course, that means that AHG are going to be running into, I believe it was VP that IPN was chasing down.
It might have been indeed. Yeah, we'll see that in a second. But yeah, in the meantime, ASG have found themselves a nice little loot infusion. It's going to do them great for the later stages of the game. Nice little portal drop to make sure that the choke point is theirs indeed. And if it's not, oh, this is actually, they're going aggressive on this one. So they had the information from the enemy team. No, it's actually Zipeth coming in to help Matafe, just so they can secure another loot box, which does come in handy at this stage of the game.
Geez, we've got another crazy round here as we're moving in round 2, closing and 12 squads left. Oh man, we've got just an absolute bloodbath happening once again. And teams just keep getting caught in these rotations. And I don't know, man. Do you think this is a case of them just not rotating carefully enough or just too many teams being hyper aggressive?
You just get a lot of choke points. That's what it is at this point in time. But some great shots coming in from Zippet, repositioning himself to take Taxi down. I think Yu-Gi-Oh was taken down just earlier on, so that's not going to be a lot of great deal left for Clique. I think Baker might just be in this one. So yeah, he's a solid player. He's going to be able to do something with it. I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to rat this one out if indeed he is the last man standing. But yeah, 12 squads left on round 2 closing is another surprising match for the AXL. All things considered, I mean, you do have a lot of choke points here, Shiv. So maybe this is what's happening here.
Yeah, maybe. Like, look at this zone. It's gonna be. I mean, there's a team in train yard right now. They're gonna run into the team that's south of them through the choke point potentially, unless they rotate around the left side. But there's a lot of teams in Harvester and No Name to the left of them as well. I think the teams in Harvester are gonna have quite a bit of a fight coming into this next circle. But it's just not very congested. Like, there's not that many teams still live, so
Yeah, tons of space.
I mean, in coming circles, yeah, there's so much space people can work around with right now.
Yeah, the circle is open,
yeah.
but at the same time, there's not a lot of teams left in it, as you mentioned.
True.
So
Yeah.
that should give somewhat of a balance, I'd say.
Yeah, it gives
Yeah.
them a room to breathe and allows them to decide how they're going to take this next engage. We saw GamersOrigin. It seemed like they were trying to move out of this choke point, but here's that team that we were seeing a little bit earlier that was moving into the choke point. It looks like it will be Cooler. Seems they won their engagement with BDS earlier on in this round. We weren't sure who the first team to go down was. Probably BDS. And now Cooler starting to make some moves here. We actually see the caustic traps there, giving them a little bit of space, allowing them to loot a little bit, get their armor and shielding back up before they take the engage once again.
And that's actually a great way to push forward. You're using caustic traps literally or effectively as smokes to try and inch your way forward. This is some 200 IQ play from Jules. Very, very wise in his use of caustic traps. But we'll see if that one yields any results, because it does look like the enemy team has backed off just slightly, ever so slightly, but Jules is not buying it. He's still using traps just to make sure that his team is a bit just safer up at front, leaving Sign with the purple armor as well to try and take some shots at the enemy team should there be an enemy team just around the corner. Very smart play coming in here from Cooler. I like it.
And I like how he's setting off his own traps just to dissuade any teams from pushing in on them while they try to secure this little area. And of course, this is still in the circle. So once the zone moves in, they're still actually fairly safe. But again, GamersOrigin is just outside. They had just moved out, but they know that there's someone at choke point. So now it becomes a little bit of a battle of attrition here. Which team's resources are going to be used more effectively, and how do they win out this fight? Because obviously GamersOrigin are going to try and gatekeep Cooler and not allow them into the circle.
100%. But with the traps, Cooler managed to negotiate a bit of space for themselves. We'll see if this one turns out, if there's anybody coming in from the backside. You see, Rowie Uppy is kind of making sure that nobody's pushing from the back angle. You want to make sure that you don't get pincered in when you're trying to fight in one team. And as we said earlier, as she was saying earlier, third partying is definitely something you want to keep away from. Oh, here comes a little bit of a push. Just a little bit of a hello from GamersOrigin. It's not going to be committed. It's nothing serious. Pardon the pun. But yeah, it does look like GamersOrigin do go back to their previous form, and for the time being, they also have some nice barriers to block off their enemies.
And we had a moment to take a look at Waifs there, riding it out somewhere behind a rock. He's trying to get that placement for Alliance, man. He's not willing to give up their top position just yet. For now, we're going to be swapping over onto Myth, who are just outside the circle, just on the edge of Harvester.
Just inside.
Well, it depends. It's like one inside, two outside. Come on. But there is like an itty-bitty spot right here where Amaz is that's just inside the circle. So once the zone closes, they can potentially hole up here for a little bit if they want to. They don't have the Wraith though, so they wouldn't be able to TP out if things get dangerous. So they're going to be forced to have to make a rotation. They can still use the Jibby Bubble to try and create a little bit of a barrier for themselves as they make their way in, but they are going to have to cross a little bit of no man's land once the circle moves.
For the time being, considering that they're sitting pretty in a compound and they're not going to get pushed from behind if they don't, then definitely, yeah, Gibby's going to be the one that will help them path forward, or inch forward rather. They're going to try and put the bubble as far as they can and try and make a play off of that one. But in the meantime, we do see a lot of teams having been down and out of the game. A 11 squads left now, as Circle 4 might be closing in soon. Sharp at the meantime also takes Noth from Virtus.pro. We'll see if there's many from Virtus. If they're 3 strong, nope. It looks like they're going to be 2
Not
strong
anymore.
at best at this point in time. Hardeki does seal the deal, puts the final nail in the coffin of Noth.
At the time of pulling up that graphic, it seemed that only Alliance was they were the only team that weren't 3 strong. But of course, Noth getting taken down there means the VP are also down to only 2 players. But every other team in this lobby are still 3 strong, and that does not bode well for the teams that aren't full squadded. But it also means that the teams that are 3 strong obviously have a little bit of an advantage there. And finally, Waves goes down, and that's going to be Alliance down for the count in this lobby, taking an 11th place spot, I believe.
Yeah, and this definitely goes against what we were talking about at the start of the night, where you want Alliance to keep on their A game so they make sure they end up in the first place. They still have a bit of a buffer, but that buffer is slowly dwindling down with SJP2 and Na'Vi just kind of breathing down their backs at this point in time. So, yeah, I think Alliance need to have a great next game if they want to maintain that first place position. Speaking of Na'Vi on our screens.
Yeah, Shiv, what do you think of this positioning from Na'Vi?
I mean, they've got this little crevice they're stuck in right now, low ground. It's an interesting position. I think the one team they're gonna be looking out for in the next circle after this one will be the team inside Myth. I think definitely when they need to rotate out of Harvester, out of that little spot they've got in the building. But Na'Vi right now, they got the low ground, but I don't think many teams will pay attention to them for the time being while they're stuck in there. I think they should be good.
Well,
they only have to worry about the high ground, but they should be staying there well.
Not sitting pretty for the moment. No,
Yeah.
VP. I think VP went down because we're down to 9 squads.
Oh yeah, that is true.
Yeah, that's a bit of an old oof, yeah.
Yeah.
Gambit still in it, still 3 strong, taking some pot shots across the way there. We even see the defensive bombardment come out. That's going to be from another team, though. So there's about 3 teams involved in this fight, because, of course, Gambit don't have the Gibraltar, unless, of course, that's a actual defensive use of the bombardment. But I think there are possibly 2 or 3 teams firing in at the same little spot. Yeah, Epsilon also have found themselves a nice little spot to hide out in the zone, in fact. Damn, these guys are looking just as pretty, in fact, probably safer than Na'Vi, because it's just the doorways really that they need to watch out for. There's no high ground to be worried about, or pushes from the other side of the crevice.
This might be the next team that actually boosts up a ton, because that's the best way to be in this end game. The way Epsilon are set, they look to be poised to take, third, second, maybe even first place. No problem at all there. But we're looking at Cooler right now, and Cooler are taking shots left, right, and center, trying to make sure that when they enter the zone, that they sweep first and nobody comes anywhere close to them. However, 7 seconds up, and they will need to make some sort of a move. You do see Sign already popping off that Wraith ult. Puts them into safety. That might be a bit of a quick move from them. They might get pincered in from the backside. But great shots from Hardeki, and he almost puts his enemies down. However, he blocks them inside the fight. Now, eventually dealing damage with the nade. We'll make some sort of a push here, it seems. Let's see how that one works out.
Oh, it looks like they're running into Cooler, possibly, as we do see the caustic there, but doing tons of damage out there. But there's a team right behind them. They're being pincered here from 2 different sides, and that is not a good look. SJP2 still in it for the moment, trying to make a little bit of a rotation. Yeah, getting hard thirsted by, it looks like, Myth, but it's going back and forth a little bit. But Denze, last man standing for SJP2, manages to take down a Mars. Can he still be it? There's another team here? You've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, the third party is the best way to deal with enemies right now at this point in time. If you're 3 strong, you have to do this. Na'Vi claws. It looks like Na'Vi are 3 strong at this point in time. Even with 7 squads left, it's going to put him in a beautiful position. Cooler is out. AHG is out. It does look like a lot of the teams are just falling right down center. SJP2 also going down. This puts Na'Vi in a fantastic place to take back that 2nd spot in the points. But right now, they do spot themselves an enemy team quite close to their south side, and the next zone is definitely going to see a fight between these 2.
Everybody vying for control of that little building, and Epsilon still holding strong inside. Man, this is our building. Y'all ain't getting your hands on this one. And slowly but surely, the teams are making their way in. And as you said, teams just dropping left and right. The zone is going to start closing soon, however, and that's going to put Epsilon in even more danger. This goes down. He must have peeked out, gets taken down by Sharp. Myth are going super aggressive here. They really want to try and take control of this building. Sharp, however, does manage to get pulled back up, so they are going to be 3 strong, but he's not going to have a ton of time to get that shielding back up as this team is going to be aggressing in hard.
Yeah, and it does look like Myth don't have many chances. of Maz and the last man standing as well. There, oh yeah, there you go. That's going to be it, I think, for Myth. Dark in the meantime. The last man standing as well for Team Epsilon was 2 teammates do get down, confirmed kills. Darkin trying to make something of a work here, but Navi will be on top of the building that they were currently in before and will most likely take him out as well. However, with Myth being taken out of the game here, it's just going to be Navi versus 2 loners, and that is going to be the GG, I think. Oh, actually, no, AHG are full squad, so it's going to be a full-on fight between AHG and Navi. This is going to be pretty.
And, oh, there we go. So Darkin goes down. What was that, Ship?
We got Navi and AHG now. 3-man squads.
Well, they were.
They were, yep.
The trades come through, and it is going to be a 2v2 for the moment. We got Zippeth and Koya still alive for ad hoc. Oh, the revive comes through. Fantastic. And this is going to be that last little battle. There's great cover for both of these teams. They're going to be trading it out slowly but surely. Going to be peeking a little bit. Still got one on the high ground here, but oh, Navi not looking good. We got one man left. Can he get the res off?
Yeah, it looks like Zippet is going to last man standing for his team. Yep, that's going to be a 1v1 here, Chef. It does look like Faizo was lower on the HP. Navi. That might be Navi indeed with the win. I'm not too sure here, Chef. Oh my God. But it looks like Ad Hoc Gaming are indeed the winners of this here match. That was an insane ending.
That was really, really tense. It wasn't one of those rounds where there's like 3 or 4 teams that run into the circle, everyone starts throwing nades and shooting, and then like at the end of it you have a clear winner. It was these 2 teams dancing around cover, peeking in and out of the building, peeking from the high ground, peeking from the low ground, trying to get some sort of an advantage. And as one goes down, then they retreat back into the little hole and try and raise him back up. And it was super tense, but well done to Ad Hoc. That's going to net them another win. And a ton of kill points as well. They are just going to fly up this ladder.
Yeah, Ad Hoc are doing great here, Shiv. And I think it's fair to say that this is indeed their day.
100%. Yeah, they're doing phenomenal right now. They're really making it work, though, for sure. These endgame circles are crazy. They're just making it work. It's insane. They're adapting to every situation.
Yep, indeed. And it was already their night until now. They were sitting pretty on the first place with 31 points. Second place was Gambit, just for the scores for tonight, indeed. But with this victory here, they're solidifying their position to have made sure that Day 4 would be theirs. If they make top 10 in the next few games, I think they might just say that, yeah, Ad Hoc Gaming might run away with the top 5 situation, even the top 3 if they keep it going.
Yeah, this has been really great, and that's our 3rd match. So we're going to take a quick break. It's going to be about 10 minutes, guys. So if you need to grab yourself something to drink, go to the bathroom, get a snack. We're in it for the long haul. 3 more games after this one. We'll be back in just a few minutes, so don't go anywhere. All right. That's 3 games down. We are halfway through our final day of the Apex X League, brought to you by Expulse. So, at the end of that last match, with some interesting things going down, didn't quite end the way we expected. Shiv had a lot to say during the break, so tell us.
I was just thinking about Navi and Adult Gaming. Those were the 2 teams I was focused on mainly in that end game.
Understandably.
Yeah, Navi was in that little crevice, weren't they? And they were, I don't know, they had a very good, that positioning was very good actually for them, because none of the other teams were actually focusing them that much while they were in that crevice. So they kind of get the jump on teams as they come out of that crevice and get to high ground afterwards. So I mean, that worked out quite well for Navi actually in getting them the second place, right? Like it helped them quite a lot. They did have to fight a team for that positioning, but it actually worked out quite well for them. And that actually got them quite good positioning and took the aggro off them for sure and helped them win. As for Adult Gaming in that end circle, I think them playing it passive at the end when there were like four squads left, and there was 2 teams fighting in the building. I mean, Adult Gaming, they played very passive. They played smart so that they want the team to get third party. They were the team third partying last, and they ended up getting to that only 2 squads left, and it helped them out quite a bit. The way these guys play is just it's insane. It's really well done.
True.
What was interesting to me is, Myth had control of that building that was in that last circle, and it seemed to me like that was some really good positioning. Why do you think they got ejected so easily from that building?
I mean, they had to move. Like, it was mainly because the zone pushed away from them that they had to move and rotate. That's why as soon as they had to rotate out of Harvester, they just got caught on their rotation by other teams looking at them. That's why they died, really. Like, they was just they had to rotate. Like, they had no option to at that point, and they just got caught on the rotate. That's it. I think that's why Myth it's when they had to rotate that led to it. Led to their demise, as it were.
It's the one. Well, let's take a look at the results of that last fight that we have so wonderfully broken down. And oh my goodness, we have a tie for first place. Oh no. Ad Hoc has managed to move up 4 spaces, but Navi and Alliance are neck and neck at the moment.
Yeah, would you look at that? Navi with 93 kills, but still Alliance with the better rotation and end placement. 188 points for each, though, so it's going to be anybody's game, and you definitely love to see something like this. 3 games in the bank. That's it. That's all we have. 3 games, and it's anybody's game at this point. Is it Alliance? Is it going to be Navi that come out on top? Well, is it going to be SJP2 that can actually dethrone any of the 2 teams, because they're sitting pretty with just 7 points behind? But yeah, this is going to get hot and heavy.
Well, I mean, Ad Hoc have won like 2 games in a row just about. Well, they've won at least 2 games this evening. So if they can continue on that streak, maybe they're the ones that are going to go on that super underdog streak from the bottom 10 and kind of soar all the way up to first place. They've managed to come all the way up to 4th quite easily in just a short space of time. And in the space of 3 games, they've shot up at least 6 spaces. So they are really putting in work here. And what's interesting to note is, of course, North slowly but surely slipping down the placements. GamersOrigin as well. I think both of them were early on in the week in our top 5 teams. So they've slowly but surely started to slip down a couple of places. Virtus.pro kind of firmly in 10th position at the moment. And we get a little bit more shuffling towards the bottom 10. So this is really starting to heat up for the top place teams.
Yeah, that is true. And I mean, with North, you did make up a good point. They did kind of slip, but their worst slip was in the second day. Because of the first day, they were sitting second next to Alliance with 55 points, Alliance having 56. But then after that, day 2, they had 9th place, and then day 3, they were sitting on the 10th. Now in day 4, they seem to be not doing as well as they were doing in the previous days, with 13th place for the time being. But it's still time for them to try and make it up, back up to where they belong, which is closer to the top end. But yeah, this is going to be a beautiful story, and it's anybody's game. Ad Hoc Gaming with a phenomenal day so far. They definitely have a chance to make that top 3, and who knows, even better if they keep playing the way they have so far.
Now this does raise an interesting point, because North's best day was on day 1. And we mentioned how 2 of their players were in our top 5 in terms of total kills per player. So I feel like maybe the W key meta just really resonated with them as a team. And then we moved to the more placement heavy point system, and they slowly started to slip back a little bit. So I think now forcing them to focus more on rotations and less on fragging out, that could be their demise.
Yeah, that could be their demise indeed. I mean, Shiv, you're looking at a team, for example, let's say like Navi, who are sitting on 93 kills, almost getting ready to hit a century in this here tournament. Do you think that, going kill heavy, playing edge, sweeping circles, is this a viable strat for anybody? Or what is that secret sauce that you need to try and make it at the top like Navi are doing right now?
Ooh, it's quite an interesting one. These are very good teams, and they just dish out so much damage in every fight. It's insane. Them playing edge, playing aggressive. Yeah, I don't know. It's just about playing aggressive and just W keying as a team. That's how you get them couple. I don't know. I guess that's what they've been doing through the entirety of the tournament, and I don't know, or just getting kills along the way. I don't know. They're definitely fragging, that's for sure.
Yeah,
They're getting fragged right now. I mean, we've just been talking about them, and immediately Mandy, first person to go down. Taishin is down as well. Just RPR left standing with a bunch of teams around him, and he's trying to say, oh man, he's so low. Just trying to get some sort of survivability here. He realizes, of course, whatever team it was that was fighting him is still, it's Wygers. There we go. Wygers still alive. Oh, they get the knock onto RPR, and that's North out already.
Ooh, and they only have 12 points so far this day, so it's not going to be looking any prettier for them at the end of the game. Of course, they will still have 2 games to try and claw themselves back into that top 5. But yeah, this is definitely not North's day. Not too sure how they're getting pushed like that, but it seems to be a new kind of saga. We did see the BDS versus Cooler storyline before, and today we're seeing North or Myth even going into headbutt first right at the start of the game. Not looking pretty for any of the teams that do engage early on. Clique as well, missing out on end games because of this particular situation. But then again, what else can you do? I mean, this is that point in time where you ask yourself, do we just go for a different drop location? Because this might be a thing that we're going to do every tournament. Or do we just stick our guns and fight all the way?
I was waiting for that cooler BDS rivalry. I see it's going down in the kill feed, but at the same time, VP have managed to find themselves in a little bit of an engagement as well, as Pierre gets quite low. They're using that Pathfinder tech just to get out of dodge for a moment, get that shielding back up. But it looks like they are going to try to retreat. Again, you don't want to... Oh, Pierre! What the hell just happened to you? Oh my goodness.
I think he was downed by something in particular. Triple take now onto Taylor. He's trying to put the shots against his teammates, but Sonya from the backside angle think that they might have gotten him, and this might be a third party indeed. And it looks like Noth and Taylor are putting their tails between their legs and getting the hell out of there, because they're get pushed real hard right now. It looks like Dead Inside are relentless. They smell blood, and they want to take the rest of VP down.
Oh man, VP are absolutely booking it, but as you said, Dead Inside. Okay, it looks like they might just be going for this little bit of loot here, because there is another team firing at them. No ways. And there's that third party that we spoke about. It is LG hold up there in that little city center taking pot shots, and that's going to be one from Dead Inside already down as he going for that loot. Sometimes you got to be a little bit more careful. You don't want to just run out into the open like that, especially not on World's Edge.
Yeah, LT don't have much to lose here, Shiv, right? So, I mean, they're thinking, let's get more points. Let's try and climb up the leaderboard. This is the only way to do it.
Yeah, let's just play aggressive, go all out, and just try to get some kill points as well, yeah, for sure. I'm guessing that's what's going through their head right now. Nothing to lose, yeah, for sure. Definitely trying to get some kills on the board as well. Yeah.
Kula and BDS are still going at it.
Yeah. I think Dead Inside just got completely caught in the open there. Sanya trying to loot the death box, I think, got a bit greedy, and LG just saw that, took the opportunity.
But now we're seeing LG getting pretty aggressive as well. Like they didn't stay on their position, they're pushing it.
Yeah, they
for
see another
sure.
team, they just kind of attack it. That's it. That's all they do.
Yeah.
They just go on the
Yeah.
forefront. They just try and make the best of what they can. Now they're taking Sadiyama down, dead insider in a ruckus. Zanya now without a shield, but that's quite all right because his teammates are there to protect him. And it looks like now he's got a blue back on top of him. A nade kind of comes close to him. Doesn't deal too much of a damage. Indeed, it does seem to hit the door. So LG are fine for the time being. They have time to bring themselves back up to full HP, and you can bet that this is going to be another fight if they can take it.
Well, they need to be careful though, because one of the players from Dead Inside went down to one of the Gambit players, which means Gambit is also just around the corner. So they have a moment of respite now to try and get that shielding back up. But of course, there is another team just on the horizon, and I'm pretty sure Alliance is looking in the exact same direction. There's so many teams in this tiny little area.
For sure, indeed. Now, Weiss with that Evo trying to upgrade it, and that's what he does indeed. Now he's got a blue. He's not that far from next one as well. Let's see if he can actually get this one, because the Scout is an ideal gun to build up your Evo. For the time being, though, they are being fired upon quite heavily, and it seems that they want to regroup their position into a much better angle. Navi now, what are they thinking?
They're thinking we don't want to die early this time.
Well, they didn't die early, did they? I mean, they seem to be having quite a good night. Last game, they came, what, second?
Second
So,
place,
that was pretty good for them.
Yeah, they're doing really well. I mean, we did say they managed to take over into that first place spot. Okay, it's a bit of a tie at the moment, but yeah, they're looking pretty good here. I'm loving this third person spectate. You can see so much. Does this look like... Wait, this area looks just like where the Poland land was. Is it just me? Okay, it's
It
just
might
me.
just
Cool.
be indeed, yeah. It could be indeed. Faizu has taken heavy damage from a team that's nearby, and that might end up in him being down if the team nearby does indeed choose to push. But it does look like 9 Impulse is helping him out. Throwing a nice little nade to make sure that his enemies are kind of kept at bay while Faizu does heal up. With him and Claws being dinked down, and doesn't look like they have that many resources to get back up, this might be a bit of a more fight for attrition at this point in time. They're just going to be a bit more passive this game. I think Navi, they won't be as offensive as we normally used to see them.
Oh no, Senya, what? Senya fell off the map.
Went off the map. Oh no.
Oh no. It was not even ring. And do you know what? That's actually... I'm wondering now if he wasn't in an engagement and possibly did that to deny points. Of course, unfortunately, we can't see what happened there, but there aren't a ton of reasons why you would just fall off the map, unless he really did just fall off the map, accidentally, unexpectedly. It's entirely possible, but that is also a strategy that I have seen implemented, people dying to the zone, jumping off the map, just to deny extra points, to make sure, I mean, you might not be climbing, but it just ensures that whoever killed you, or whoever was thirsting on you, doesn't get those points.
Yeah, and now Cooler seem to be looking towards the edge of the zone, just on the outside. They know that there's an enemy team right there, so they're keeping an eye on that one. But they are quite close to LG on the other side and Gambit just further up away. If LG get attacked by Cooler, you might just well see... Oh, no, it looks like both teams did heavy rotations. So it should be fine for the moment for Cooler. Doesn't look like there's any kind of enemy team close by, but they're still keeping an eye out. They have 2 minutes to rotate into the zone. However, this is not going to be an easy rotation. If you just saw earlier on the map, they have 2 teams that are going to be waiting for them as they make their way inside.
Of course, they unfortunately do not know that one. And again, this is a lot of choke points here as the circle continues to close in. There are a lot of areas here where teams are going to be forced to funnel through. And much like what we saw in the previous game, we might see some teams to hold those corners and stop teams from getting through. And somehow BDS, Cutie Sadi, has survived that initial drop, and he's taking a bit of zone damage. Is he going to go for the res? He is. He's going to try and get Psychop back up. This is kind of a massive play from them. They know that the second round or the second zone doesn't do a ton of damage. So if he can just survive long enough to get that res off, I mean, even if people hear the ship coming in, it's unlikely that they'll push out into the zone to try and contest the res. So this could actually work out really well for BDS.
Yeah, I was actually kind of hoping to see if they go for more loot, but it does look like he's on a mission, and he's going to be making his way fast toward tunnel. This tunnel, though, doesn't seem to be taken by any... Oh, never mind. Caustic Trap Bomb.
Oh, no.
Just seen by Kiseti, but he does trigger it, so that does mean that the enemy team that has laid down that trap knows his exact position, or knew his exact position, because now he's rotating to a different angle.
Well, I just went on the tirade there about the res opportunity, but he didn't take the opportunity. Shiv, what do you think? Would you have gone for that res there, or would you have just carried on into zone and try to find a place to hide?
I mean, I think the res was taken there. I think I saw the res beacon
Ah.
used there. Yeah, I think it was taken already. Yeah. So, I mean, at this point, he's just got banner. I don't know if he'll try and res his teammate. At this point, I think it's gonna be a very risky thing. I think he's probably gonna be ratting the rest of the game and just trying to get those placement points solo. Probably,
Damn.
like most likely. I don't think he'll be able to get the res.
Super unfortunate there. That would have been a fantastic little feather in their cap if he had managed to get it off, but unfortunately, beacon already used. And now, once again, we got the kill feed lighting up. But some of these teams looking a little bit better than others. Clique looking very strong here moving into this next round. 15 squads as round 2 starts to close. Again, these first couple of rounds tend to be a little bit fight heavy, and then we go down 4 or 5 teams, and then it starts to stabilize a little bit more.
It does seem to be the case indeed. Triumph finally getting a bit of a respite, and they're getting this one into a zone that's going to be closing in on them. This is fantastic for Triumph, who didn't necessarily have an easier time in the previous games. Some good pot shots coming in from Graceful. He does almost manage to crack, but it doesn't look to be any kind of a fight that they will take further on from that one. Their Psychop, in the meantime, did it looks like
he did get it.
Saudi, yeah. QT Saudi and Psychop are back into the game. Of course, Psychop doesn't necessarily have anything better but 2 Mozambiques. Actually, he has a Mozambique and an Evo 8. So that's
That must be a spectator bug.
Another Eva. Yeah, there you go. Now he's got an Eva and a triple takes. That's getting slightly better there. Longbow in his hands. He's going to try and make the best of it. But he doesn't have that many meds, so he has to get back into the zone. And obviously, of course, you're not going to have Lifeline in the comp. They need to find as many syringes as they can. That they don't for the time being. Psychop still needs to heal with no resources at hand.
Surprising that they went for that res. Pretty impressive that they got it off. And that he is back in action here. But as you mentioned, he's going to need to find some meds here. Watson won't be of too much help in that department. And he is a little bit far off from the rest of his team. And there's a team pushing out of this little choke here. And if they spot him, he will get absolutely destroyed. So he's going to have to be very careful about how he makes this rotation. I think possibly they heard him zipping along from place to place with that zip line. But for now, he does seem to be safe. Hopefully, he can find some of those meds. And hopefully, we'll see BDS make a resurgence.
And here's the intelligent scout from his teammate QT, who is indeed putting in good work to make sure that his teammate can also enter the zone, because he has no meds to get back onto full HP. So he needs that blue shield from his teammate to try and scout first. Good shots coming in from Yuki. One does connect with the wingman here. But it looks like Faisal, in the meantime, somewhere else on the map, did take down Pyra. So we'll see how that one ends out. Ooh, it does look like Clique and Na'Vi are in a bit of a scuffle, and this is a push. They saw that knock. They're going to be pushing right up against it. Peacekeeper in hand, but it looks like the portal has been taken. However, bold is Yuki, who does take the portal on the same side there, does manage to get the kill on Na'Vi, 9 impulse, and they want more blood. This is not going to be stopping here. Faizu and Claws. Faizu looking worse for the wear. Might just have some time to pop a Phoenix kit here.
Surprising that Faizu and Claws both managed to survive that. They stopped the revive from going through, taking that teleporter. Wasn't even concerned about the potential wires, but let's take a look here, because SJP seems to be partying. Words are hard. Third-partying Clique there. And this is a fantastic opportunity, in fact, for Na'Vi to try and turn it around. Unless SJP2 just kill both of them.
Yeah, it does seem to be the way that that moment in time. This is the worst fight for Na'Vi. This is the fight with the team that they're currently fighting for in that top 3 situation. Well, they're in the first place, but then again, SJP2 are very, very close to them. So the last member from Na'Vi, all he can do at this point in time is just kind of rat his way inside placements. Just let SJP fight, do all the fighting for him.
So many death boxes in this building.
Yeah,
he's pushing
does seem to be.
That's for sure.
With so many teams that got into a fight in this, it's not even that surprising. And Faizu still alive for the moment. And again, we're just going to be seeing him trying to rat it out here. And hopefully he'll be able to survive a little bit longer for his team. He's got a fairly good zone placement, but of course that doesn't mean too much when you're the last man standing. And anyone running up, yes, he is under cover. He is beneath the building, but anyone running up should be able to spot him out quite easily. So he might... Oh man, we got Taylor as well. He's also trying to rat it out. And he's so close to Faizu as well. Like the two of them could run into each other at a moment's notice.
That's true. Am I back? Sorry, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, hey,
sorry about that. I had a small technical difficulty, but yeah, maybe Taylor and Faizu can make good friends. I mean, they're in the same, they're in a similar position at this moment in time. It would be very, very sad to see them fight all together. We'll see if that one does occur. In the meantime, though, how Yuki is the last man standing. He does take down Psychop from BDS. Who did take down Taxi just earlier on, so it looks like Clique won't be getting the res, or maybe Taxi might be res by this portal, or right after this portal. You have 1 minute and 35 seconds left, so there's plenty of time to get the res. Hopefully, there's still enough loot to bring themselves back to full HP, but again, Yuki is very, very quick through the portal, going back to make sure that nobody's pushing in it so that his teammate Taxi has enough time to heal up.
Alliance is still in this game as they are slowly taking down what is left of Cooler. And it doesn't bode well for all the other teams, because obviously if Alliance continue to rack up points here, then of course they will start to cement their first place hold once again, whereas now it is very heavily contested. So teams are going to be trying to get them down if they get the opportunity. Of course, first prize here is to try and get that first placement, and simply by doing that, you deny Alliance those first place points. So you want to try and get that as quickly as possible. And Clique a little bit on the back foot here. Only 2 of them left alive, with a squad firing in at them. The zone about to start closing in, and this is going to start to look very sticky for some of these teams, because of course they are moving closer and closer towards one another. Fewer choke towards the outside of the circle, but as they start moving in towards the circle, once again, there's just chokes everywhere.
Yes, indeed. Now LG got their sights on Epsilon. First knock comes through. Nice little barrier from Gibby, but it's not going to be working out for too long because the push comes in. Xense and Zanya go straight in it. They will get a knock just soon enough, and there you go. Sure it is that Epsilon is out of the game for the time being, though Xense will be rezzed. So no problem for LG to get themselves back up, but it does look like a third party is happening here. GamersOrigin
no ways
will decimate them in less than a second. That was really quick, and I'm not sure that a fourth party are going to be coming in here. It's not viable.
That was pretty aggressive from GamersOrigin, actually. I mean, they seem to kind of come out of nowhere. They just aggressed straight in on LG, saw the opportunity, and took it. And that's, you know, third party. We kind of spoke about how dangerous that is and how difficult it is to survive. And that was proven here for LG, but unfortunate. But GamersOrigin heavily under fire at the moment. There is another team just on the horizon, another looking to make a rotation with this Wraith portal. No, they're just running. They're just booking it.
I mean, that's the way to go. At this point in time, they need to make their way inside the safety of the next zone, and not only that, but find themselves a good spot in it. However, Kuya from AHT will be finding off what does seem to be Cooler Esports. I do believe so. Yeah, it does look like the ring did get Rowie uppy, so that's one member down. Kuya will have an easier time fighting his enemies, especially considering that his teammates almost have full shields and almost full HP, just Matafi being dinked down here. Kuya will get on the heal, but in the meantime, Wives was actually taken down, so this was Alliance. That AHD were fighting Alliance, who also need the points direly. I think Na'Vi are still into the game, so SJP2 are definitely in the game as well. So yeah, Alliance here are on a very, very dangerous position.
And GamersOrigin down to the very last man on the team here. It looks like Alliance are out, and that is super unfortunate for them. As HD also heavily under fire somewhere else on the map. We got a ton of battles going all around. And here's Ad Hoc Gaming. Matafe already down. Cohere still alive. Zippeth trying to get some damage out, trying to keep themselves alive. Ooh, beautiful bit of damage there. And wow, great utilization of the Jibby shield here. Going to get Matafe back up in the fight, and that's going to bring them back up to being 3 strong, which of course is always a massive boon for any team. You don't want to be coming into these last fights with only 1 or 2 players left standing, because that will be very dangerous in those last circle engagements.
I think Faizu might just still be up from Na'Vi. I haven't seen him on the kill feed, but maybe I missed him, so don't quote me on that. But yeah, if Faizu is still alive, then they might just go on to that first place indeed. Well, it might just be SJP2 at this point in time. We don't know too much about how this game's going to end, but it's going to be a tight one, that's for sure. So if Na'Vi are still into the game with just that one-man Faizu, they have a very decent chance of dethroning Alliance for what seemed to be a surely one tournament for him. But indeed, this fourth day has been a bit rough for him. In the meantime, we're looking at AHG trying to make a rotation towards the closing circle here with good use of the Wraith ult. And also Triumph will take a bit of a damage, I suppose. Let's see if they do wait for the portal. Yes, Mady does wait for the portal, and that's a good call. And at this moment in time, they're gonna go straight into a fight.
And that's really dangerous because, of course, you put the teleporter down to try and get you to safety. But, oh, they call the safety, but it is not safe. And Triumph get absolutely destroyed by Ad Hoc Gaming, who were waiting for them to land. But, of course, Clique have a nice little high ground spot here, and they are taking advantage of that. They did notice some teams, and yes, the entirety of HG is burning. And, oh, that is such a satisfying sound as all of those armors get cracked. And still more ordnance is getting thrown out. They're not even concerned about trying to actually Wow. Actually hitting those shots.
what?
Yuki's insane.
Yo, this guy's absolutely crazy with the wingman. Yuki putting another one down. Zip it this time. His time was called. Yuki is absolutely godlike with that wingman here. We'll see if he can manage to do more than this, but it does look like Matafi and Kuya might have a harder time getting in here. Getting pushed by an enemy team quite close by, it seems. That Wraith wants blood, and it's going to be actually is Z-Bag and Denzi. This is SJP2 that they're fighting. So SJP2 are getting a bit aggressive, which is not ideal for AHG, but for the time being, they will survive it.
Ad Hoc have come into this last day, guns blazing. I haven't seen such a strong performance from them all week, but they are absolutely popping off here. They've secured themselves a guaranteed top 4 placement, and of course they have been getting kills throughout the game, but now on B100, and they have come up against another team here just around the corner, both of them just utilizing this little bit of a bend in the building to try and get some sort of cover, but it's not going to be enough. As much as the trades go back and forth, SJP2 will be the ones that come out on top of that engagement. Now down to the last 3 squads. It's SJP2 and Clique and Ad Hoc.
Ad Hoc Gaming, yeah, there you go. Ad Hoc Gaming hitting us with another great game tonight as their night, and this might be their chance to propel them on that top 3 position. We'll see if that occurs. In the meantime, SJP2 needs to rotate, and they need to rotate in not that much of an ideal spot. However, they do have the safety of a corner compound to work with. AHG, in the meantime, will be taking shots at an enemy team. It does look like they're putting in the good damage, and also they have to look after this close compound, which is where SJP2 are located in.
And I do believe, oh, Korea going down. That's super dangerous. That means at least one team only down to 2 players. SJP2 looking pretty good here. They might just bring themselves back up into that 3rd place contention. Let's see what happens as they go in for the super aggressive play here. We've got Peacekeepers out. That's tons of damage coming through. Needs to be careful of the Wraith just behind them. We've got Jibby barriers left and right to try and provide some kind of cover, and Clique playing this fairly smart. We've got one person doing some damage here in the thick of it, while one is kind of hiding in the back. Gets back into the fight, but it looks like Clique might be down. Yes, Clique is out of it. It's just SJP2 and Ad Hoc Gaming. Both of these teams have been performing exceptionally well, but it will be SJP2 that bring home the victory this time.
And it does look like SJP2 might have found themselves the first place for the first time in the tournament. SJP2 might be the victor, or this here victory might set them apart from Na'Vi and Alliance. They were 7 points just behind, but with the many kills that they had and with this great placement, they might just put themselves back up there. Also, Ad Hoc Gaming might swap with Alliance and SJP2 to take that 2nd or 3rd spot. Ad Hoc Gaming, though, what an insane comeback here, Shev.
Yeah, they're crazy. They're on a roll right now. They're just rolling through it. It's crazy. They're playing really good. I thought they were actually gonna be out of that game when they were in Dome and they were just getting naded like crazy. I actually thought that was the end for them in that game, but they still managed to survive. Use a Gibby bubble and survive. It was insane. They are playing very well. I don't.
SJP2 with 14 kills. Holy cannoli! Oh man, Clique even with 10 kills as well. We've got some really high kill games, or high kill teams.
13 kills for Clique, yeah. They're going crazy as well.
Crazy.
Clique have been going aggressive with this last day. Well, they've been going aggressive throughout the tournament, and it's actually great to watch. I mean, the fact that they're getting this many kills and also making it to top 3, this shows what a great team Clique Esports is. But then again, we do have to, again, focus our attention on SJP and Ad Hoc Gaming, the 2 dark horses that we didn't necessarily suspect would be making it back in the last day, but this is exactly what they're doing.
They've been performing exceptionally well here. And before we get a chance to take a look at that scoreboard, Shiv, just in that last fight, you generally tend to have quite a lot of insight into these kind of last circle fights. Did anything kind of stand out at you for that last one?
I mean, that last fight, the whole fight in Dome between the last, 4 teams, it pretty much seemed like a dance. Like, it was like everyone trying to survive, and at one point, one team was doing really well, and then the tide kept turning on each side for every team. It was crazy. Like, at one point, Ad Hoc Gaming was under fire, then they came back. At one point, Clique was going crazy. They were on the high ground, they throwing nades down, and then they were in trouble, actually. They got 3rd party by SJP2. It was just crazy. The all last 4 teams were just going at each other, but no one could quite close out the fight until the end circle, for sure. Till that circle really closed in. It was insane. It was a dance. That's what I would say. That's how I would say between the last 4 teams there. Yeah. It's crazy.
was actually impressed with how well Clique did with only those two people left alive.
For sure, exactly. Yeah, that was insane.
All right, let's
they
just
did really
hear.
well too.
Do we have scores ready, production?
I think
we could just.
Yeah. We could do a break first, and then when we come back, we look at the scores. Yeah, let's do that instead, because it might take some time. Let's not put too much pressure on the admins. But yeah, quick break. Let's come back with the scores, and it looks like we're just gonna have 2 more games left, and then we'll, in just a few minutes, or in 1 minute, we'll know what's gonna be going on for the last 2 games.
Welcome back, guys. That was match 4. We got only 2 matches left for this evening, and things are starting to heat up. Let's take a look at that scoreboard and see where we're standing. Oh, look at that.
Wow. Would you look? Alliance dethroned. They were sitting pretty in the first place for pretty much the entirety of this tournament, and now in the last day, SJP just come and swiping, and they set themselves nicely apart with a definitely good difference between them. But still, Alliance and Navi are chewing behind them. However, Ad Hoc Gaming have made the most insane climb. I think it was 10 placements that they climbed up today.
Yeah, very surprising to see how well they've done. And last game they did exceptionally well, just not quite enough to bump them into that third place spot. But of course, there are still 2 games left to try and make something happen. Also, notable, Clique have managed to claw their way up into the top 10. They've also been performing quite well. Yuki has been playing out of his mind this evening. So I'm really excited to see how these teams have started to step up their game as we've moved towards the last couple matches of this league.
It's beautiful to see, Shiv. I mean, just looking at Ad Hoc Gaming performance for today, it's a spectacle that we were definitely not expecting.
For sure, coming from the bottom 10 of the bracket, now making their way to top 5, and I don't know, can they get to that? Let's see how far they can get to that winning mark. Maybe we'll see.
Well, this is it. I mean,
definitely
as we
podium position.
Yeah, as we move into these last 2 games, this is really kind of the do or die moments for these teams where they try to eke out those last couple of placements. And now for some teams towards the bottom of the ladder, of course, their hopes of getting to those top 5 placements, it's going to be damn near impossible. But for those teams that are in contention from that 5 to 10th spot, oh man, these next 2 games, I think these are going to be banger matches.
Oh yeah, for
100%.
sure. I think we definitely have some great here, some great stories here, and it kind of shows the power of a team that also sits at the end of the day and looks at their matches and see where they can improve. And I think that's exactly what Ad Hoc Gaming are doing, especially in the BR world. If you do this kind of thing after the matches, kind of huddle up with the team after, of course, half an hour or an hour break, so you can let the spirits cool off, and then just look at the matches, see where and how you can improve. This is also the mark of a great coach that calls them in and drags them and says, okay, let's see how we can perform better. And Ad Hoc Gaming are definitely a prime example of how BR works over several days. It's a slow kind of marathon where it's a slow kind of grind. You don't just kind of get it in 1, 2, 3, 5 matches. It takes a while, but if you do pay attention, you'll climb back up.
Well, I sent a message in the team chat, and I said, "Yo, Ad Hoc, what did y'all have for breakfast this morning?" And they said, "Well, we just switched back to our comp." Matafe letting us know the first 2 days they were like, "Let's see how Path goes." And clearly Path did not go very well. So now that they're back on their main composition, they're absolutely dominating. We'll see how they do in this 5th game of the evening. But for now, we're going to be hopping on with Virtus.pro, and we'll see how much loot they can acquire in these first couple minutes.
Yeah, VP are one of the teams that can actually loot faster from all the teams, or much faster. Well, I wouldn't say much faster, but definitely they have a good looting pace, and that stems from their previous battle royale experience, right? They've been trained assassins in PUBG as well, and now coming into Apex, it's actually much easier for them to loot. So for sure, they clean up, they wipe out buildings. You can see a good display there from Taylor, just wiping out that building. Now looking back at North, a team that has decayed over the last few days. They started off strong. The first one had a decent performance on the second, but then kind of slowly went down. And now I think it's their time to try and make it. Maybe they can claw it back to the top 5 placement. I'm not too sure if that's achievable, but they definitely need a top 3 game if they want to do so, with many kills alike.
Well, speaking of clawing their way back, just had a notice up there in that kill feed. BDS did manage to win out their battle against Cooler, and that's going to bring us down to 18 squads, and BDS have an opportunity to continue climbing. The rivalry continues, and it's become a little bit more back and forth than it was in the first couple of days, which is pretty cool. I like to see how teams kind of improve and try and find ways to get out of these little ruts, but it is only Psychop that is left standing, and he's doing a little bit of scouting to make sure that there's no one left alive in these buildings before he goes to raise his teammates. Either that, or they're just way too far out in the open, and he's just not going to risk it. Like, you guys can just stay dead. It's fine.
No, I'm pretty sure he's going to... Well, actually, he's going away from his teammates. This is interesting. Oh, he's being shot upon. Okay, so...
yeah, he's
being fired on, so that's why he's actually making it out of there. BDS did make it out alive, it seems, but with just Psychop, his 2 teammates are left for dead. It's actually Cooler. Nope. Hey, there you go. So Cooler are still into the game. And they're now trying to chase what is the last member of BDS. We'll see if they manage to do just that, or if they do survive with one man standing. AHG, in the meantime, a team that we have been praising for their final day performance. really great to hear that they went back to their comp because it's working out wonders. And there you go, that adaptation that Shiv was talking about isn't just game to game, but it's also day after day. So right now, things are working out great for him.
Oh, you hate to see it. Looks like Kramer got bled out by Na'Vi, which means there's a potential third party out there in Fragment. But I'm actually pretty happy to be chilling here on ad hoc because, as you said, they have been doing quite well. And I'm not actually sure who they swapped out for their path the first couple of days. But what makes the most sense is the Gibraltar, right? But for now, they've got their original composition, the one tried, true, and practiced, and we can already see it's paying dividends for them. You know, it's one thing to be able to pick up a gun and shoot and make a rotation. It's something else entirely to be so in tune with how your team plays, to know how your abilities work. And I think that just going back to what you know, what you understand, can make such a massive difference. And they're just proving it here for us.
Yeah, indeed. And now we're looking at Dead Inside, a team that has been consistent, not at the very, very top side, but they've been consistent with their play. Definitely room for improvement, but they're putting on a good show for us. And right now we're seeing them actually in some sort of a scuffle with an enemy team, but I'm not too sure that's going to end up in an absolute 3v3 fight. No team wants to fight at this point in time, except for GamersOrigin, who do seem to take out Lazarus. You can see it on the top right in the kill feed there, or you could in just a few seconds ago. Yeah, Dead Inside are slowly trying to make their way into the circle. They have 2 minutes and 40 seconds to do so. However, they need... Oh, actually, no, they're very close to it. So it shouldn't be a problem for them to make it inside.
Yeah, they got some time. They might do a little bit of extra looting in these buildings, just see if there's something to be gathered. LG, we're going to be swapping on over here as they make their way into the next circle. They've used that beacon to find out exactly where the next circle is going to be. It looks like it is going to be here at Harvester. And they're going to be trying to find themselves a nice little area to hunker down. Of course, they don't know for sure that it will end at Harvester. It could end in some random... I mean, hell, it could be Train Yard for all we know. So at this point, they're just going to be hunkering down, setting up that little bunker that we've become so familiar with. And this is where they start to take pot shots and try and get some teams down from distance.
Yeah, they see a potential for third party here, but they're not too sure how many teams are just up ahead of them. However, LG do want those kills, as many as they can get. Zania does spot one and is being very quiet about it. They're good damage dealt, but now their position is known. Trying to attack from the inside here, it seems like they're doing so. No enemies found on the bottom side of this here compound, so they're going to rotate, try, go from the outside, see if they can catch anybody. In the meantime, though, Taylor has been taken down by Mady from Triumph, and it looks like Pierre and Nath will be the last two members of Virtus.pro.
And what it is interesting to note is that Taylor got downed by Impulse and then killed by Mady lol, which means that there are two teams in the nearby vicinity. And that makes this very dangerous for Virtus.pro. Pierre going to be using that Pathfinder tech to get his teammates banner and hopefully get him back up and get him back in this game. You don't want to be like, this is really early game. There's still potential for you to get those reses, but the last thing you want to do is be coming into those last zones with only two players. So if it is possible, if they can get that res off, then of course it'll be a massive boon for them coming into the next fights. But for now, moving on over to Alliance. Seems they have spotted out an enemy team out here, and they're going to be looking to try and take this engagement, maybe get it down, so that they can aggress forward.
Yeah, Alliance need a very, very powerful end game if they want to keep themselves up or perhaps climb back up on the first position. If SJP2 go down early and Alliance make it out in that top two situation, Alliance might claw back to that first place. We'll see it all unfold as the game ends. However, Alliance Hackis now caught with his pants down by an enemy. It does seem that Wives is pretty close to him, though. Will help him out with this here kerfuffle that he was found himself in. A very, very quick backup to shield max power. And now they're going to be scouting to make sure that the enemy is gone. And gone it is.
Yeah, he just ran straight out into the open, was not expecting someone to be there. Now, that team does seem to be gone for the moment, but they could decide to come back at a moment's notice. And again, this is one of those chokes. We have seen it previously, how teams do hold on here. I believe the last time it was Kula holding on to that choke with the Caustic. It is Caustic's playground being so closed in like that, and they can use those Caustic traps to create some space, to deny space, and just to give themselves a little bit of cover, as you mentioned previously. We're going on LG here, and Estes gets really low here. She's going to need to back up just a little bit, get that shielding back up, while the rest of her team provides a little bit of cover and hopefully can protect her. Because again, we're at another choke here, and I believe this is they're actually the ones fighting with Alliance at the moment. So we've got Estes checking the back to make sure nobody's third partying in from the backside, but the rest of LG are going to be watching this choke point very carefully.
SJP2, a team that has the potential and is in the first place and has the potential to keep it that way, are now in a fight themselves. Let's see how they handle this one, because their enemies are quite close. It's going to end up good for him. It does look like the Peacekeeper shots are not hitting. No armor on the last two standing members of SJP. Clique might just take him down in this here fight. Yuki does go down, but Jelly is also down himself, and Denze with a sliver. It's absolutely annihilated. Clique Esports might have just made the way for Alliance to claw back into the first place, but not for long.
Oh man, that third party, that's so unfortunate. We
And
see
that was
both of those
AHG that took that fight. So AHG are still in the game. With SJP out and Alliance sitting the way they are right now, this might just set the way for AHG to climb up where Navi and Alliance are currently sitting. This is going to be crazy. The results are just nuts.
Well, Alliance and LG, their fight seems to have hit a little climax here as it does continue on. Exen's last man standing here. Seems they didn't aggress in. Alliance pushed out, and they've taken that opportunity to really take control here. Exen trying so hard to get that shielding back up, does get it back up, but he was last man standing. And Alliance says, no, you don't. They take control of this area, and that's going to net them a little bit more space to work with as they continue their rotation into the zone. Back over here with North, who do seem to have a fairly good position up here in Harvester, but of course a lot of teams are going to be trying to contest this, and they're going to need to be very weary of that while they try to hold. And this is something we spoke about a little bit earlier, holding a position where you have a really wide field of view so that you can check every corner and you have that escape hatch available.
Yeah, true. Let's hit back a little bit there on the let's touch on the fight that Alliance was on. That was definitely what they needed. So LG did the same thing 3 games in a row, try to be the path trolls that they were in the same position. However, Alliance won that fight, and that is instrumental to keep themselves into the game. And at this point in time, Alliance actually have a chance back into it. With SJP gone and Navi, I'm not too sure how they're sitting, but Alliance definitely have a chance. So again, I have to stress this, and I can't stress it enough. The end points, it's just such a beautiful tale for this here tournament.
Absolutely. Now we've just got rotation after rotation here. Teams just trying to find their little niche spot. Before we carry on, we got a moment of respite here. Shiv, you noticed anything that's kind of stood out to you? Maybe how a certain team rotated, or a fight that just seemed to go a little bit weird?
I mean the fight in the choke point there between I guess CLQ and was it SJP2? I mean, I think they got 3P'd as well, right? They got third party, I think, by
by AHG.
HG,
right? Yeah, that brings that might bring HG up for sure on that. And SJP2, I don't know, that puts them at disadvantage now, I think, but Clique defo griefing I think just SJP2 for that top 1 spot right now, so it's gonna be interesting to see.
Interestingly, BDS seem to be 3 strong at the moment.
Yeah.
I thought that they had a few taken down, but it seems they are back up and in firm control in this game now. B100 trying to take control of this building here, get an opportunity to create a little bit of a bunker for themselves, but they are already being fired in on. And this isn't the best place to set up a defensive stance, because of course the ring is going to be closing in very soon. So interesting to see what decision they're going to make when they eventually decide to rotate again.
Now looking at Hardecki's wingman, will try to take some shots from afar. Of course, it's very difficult to hit those, but a good position for Gambit to actually farm some points, because their west side is where the circle is going to be closing in from, and it does look like Leo and Artico are already setting up a plan to make sure that the net that they catch the enemy teams in is an efficient one. For the time being, nobody seems to be approaching from that angle, but it does look like Hardecki did spot an enemy quite close to their west, so they will be keeping an eye on that. However, in the meantime, Grama takes heavy damage. BDS, again, the unlikely heroes that have escaped, and as you said, Inari, I'm not too sure how they made it 3 back up with a respawn, but for the time being, it's not easy for them.
Yeah, it must have circled back there, because it was the last man standing trying to get away and just wasn't able to get his teammates back up, but must have circled back for the banners. And yeah, now they're back in this fight. I really do want to compliment them on their tenacity. They have really done well to claw their way through these fights. And for now, they're going to finally take control of this little building here. Continuing to just peek out and make sure that nobody's pushing in on them. Again, there are quite a few little buildings here, and each one could potentially have a team in. So they need to keep their eyes peeled for any suspicious activity, for anybody who might be making moves. And speaking of making moves, they're going to make a move of their own. They're going to be going in quite aggressive here. It seems they must have spotted out that whatever team was in here has probably moved on. And now they're just going for this really hard aggressive push to try and get into the zone rather than hunker down somewhere outside.
Let's see if this fight versus Gambit is going to yield any good results for BDS. They seem to be... it's B100 actually, so Gambit are just in the building nearby, but Free is absolutely getting wiped by Kramer from the backside there. 2 guys left from B100 as BDS try to make a push. That barrier is not helping them out at all, but it does look like they get Raiden down as well. Last man standing, not for long, will be Yadigan, and he will be also taken down by Kramer. Kramer killing it today with 4 kills. He's currently the kill leader. Not too sure if BDS can climb too far up, but they're definitely putting on a great performance here tonight.
I loved that positioning from Kramer. B100 were expecting the whole of BDS to come up those stairs. Kramer was like, oh, hey, look, there's a window. And he eeks his head in ever so slightly and manages to get the first knockdown, which allowed the rest of his team to push in and get aggressive. But now they do need to be careful because another team has spotted them out. And Gambit as well in a little bit of a sticky situation here, trying to maintain control. But again, they're also going to need to rotate fairly soon. And while all of that is happening, it seems that VP may have just been knocked out. It's a bit unfortunate. They look at that dense, massive teams, and no one really in zone. Only 2 teams. In fact, I think that's B100 in that area of Harvester that's right inside the circle. I think it might be B100 or BDS.
The east side of this zone is going to be massive into fights. There's going to be tons of teams fighting, which is great for Gambit, which is great for the team that's in there. I think, as you said, it might be BDS. Whoever is already in. Oh, there you go, Triumph. So Triumph might have themselves a top 3 placement just by the favor of the zone. They're sitting really pretty here. They only need to take 1 fight with the team that's northwest of them, and that's about it. In the meantime, though, we will see a lot of action on the east side front.
Yeah, absolutely. The east side is going to be a bloodbath as all of those teams try to make their way into zone. And of course, this is where rotations become so important. You could see a ton of them funnel in to that little point that's sticking into zone, or you could see them rotate around and try to dodge as many teams as possible. It seems Alliance is another one of the teams that is in the zone at the moment and looking for somewhere to, hunker up.
If you remember day 2, this was where north were usually camped. In this particular location, in these grassy knolls, you do have a great 360, as we said last time, but you also have the chance to be dinked down from left, right, and center. This time, it shouldn't be the case, as teams are going to be busy fighting one another on the eastern front. But we will be focusing on that direction. They're a great need that sticks to his enemy, but W Serious not able to get the closing frag. However, they do seem to find themselves in a good position. GamersOrigin are sitting really pretty right now, and they can take some good shots at Alliance.
Yep, and they've found themselves a really nice place because, again, once the circle closes in, they're going to be inside of it on top of this building here. So they are super safe from just about anything. And, of course, having that high ground is super, super important because it really gives you a massive advantage. Now, onto Myth, who are just outside the zone in this little tunnel. Once they rotate in, of course, they are going to be running through open ground, so they're going to need to be careful about how they do that. They do have, of course, the Jibby Shield, which will provide a little bit of cover for them as they make their rotation, but they might want to save that for an actual engagement. But it seems the team does know where they are because that caustic trap didn't find its way there by accident.
Definitely not, and it did look like a good pop from that gun, but it didn't occur nonetheless. Now, however, Kuhia, he can't say Torille Tafatan just yet, as the train does roll quite close to them. Kuhia will try to reload his R99 and peek over again. You do need AHG to make themselves a good ending here. There's 10 squads left. This is a ton of pressure on AHG. We'll just have to see if Alliance come out on top, however. They do seem to be heading towards Triumph. Triumph is pretty close to them. I think that's where they're landing their shots, but Wipes and IPN are looking somewhere else.
And in the meantime, Dead Inside will go down off screen. Alliance still in this game for the moment, so doing quite well. Na'Vi finding themselves in a little bit of a third party here, having just taken down Dead Inside. Another team does seem to be aggressing in on them. They are trying to get their shielding up as quickly as possible, but here we go. We found the enemy team. We'll see who it is in a moment if they can get this race done. We'll see what happens.
GamersOrigin.
Oh, it's GamersOrigin. Oopsie. That puts them in some serious danger. And of course, with Faizu already going down, that's so bad. Claw's last man standing does get taken down, and GamersOrigin will take this nice little positioning or get third-partied.
No. That was GamersOrigin's last frag. So now it's going to be. This is a fantastic situation for Alliance, right? I'm not too sure if they dealt with Triumph or not, but now they have to deal with GamersOrigin on the other side. But with Na'Vi being dead, this puts them at a high chance of getting back that first place. I'm not too sure if SJP2 are still in the game, because that's the important part.
Yep, absolutely. There's a ton of space here to maneuver in. Alliance Hackers coming in here with that Mastiff, gonna get the knockdown. Absolutely dirty. And it looks like AHG might actually be out here as they are. That's it. That's for second last game. That's not what they wanted. And BDS will also go down as well. Triumph seem to kind of be popping off stream here as Alliance are just trying to maintain control of this space. They're so far out in the open. It's looking really dangerous, but they're controlling a lot of the space with these gas canisters as well.
GamersOrigin focusing on Alliance, this does not help their case at all, but they're full HP, they don't really care much about this here situation. Of course, Nate taken, but that's a quick refresh with a quick shield up. So, this time around, it does look like it's going to be Triumph versus Alliance. I'm not too sure who the third team is, but Triumph are taking the shots at Alliance. Alliance proving that they can perform exactly when the time is needed. Triumph still, they know they have a team on the other side and a team underneath them. Alliance taking, or giving rather, a heavy damage. Triumph almost being taken out. It does look like Mayday will have time to shield back up. But look at this Alliance, all three golden, no problem whatsoever. Taken, I mean, they're bringing the fight to Triumph, and it looks like they're winning.
And the third squad confirmed it is Gambit, and they are hiding out here somewhere. So this is really dangerous for all of these teams because, again, very much out in the open. They do have a little bit of environment to try and take cover. You crouch on the bottom of the hill and hopefully get an opportunity to dodge some of those bullets. But now, Hackers with a very aggressive portal. I'm going to be having some damage from long range, some damage from close range. Hackers still has that Mastiff, but gets taken down by some fantastic fencing there. And that's super unfortunate as Hackers goes down, actually to the fence. But JMW will get taken down by Waif, so that's a pretty decent trade. Both, however, could get brought back up into the fight. Alliance already back up to 3 strong, and Gambit, what a nice little hiding spot they found for themselves.
Yeah, they were 3 strong. This is very unexpected out of Gambit, so they play this passively, intelligently, waiting for the 2 teams at the top to fight one another, and Alliance and Triumph did just that. But it does look like Alliance might be getting their 3 men back up. I don't think Triumph is sitting as pretty as they are, and that was a very good ult from the Caustic. And right now, it looks like IPN is actually down himself. And, Hackers isn't sitting too pretty, but it's all up to Vibes. Can he clutch this one for Triumph? And then he's going to be in the claws of Gambit. We'll see how this one pans out. Gambit want to come out and play. It does look like they have taken down Triumph, so it's just going to be Gambit versus Alliance. Good shots coming in from Alliance, but a laser from Leo. And it does seem like Gambit take the final match of AXL and be the victors of this one here. But the real question is, did Alliance do enough to propel themselves back up on that first place?
This has been such an intense match, and I loved this last fight. And honestly, I gotta throw it to you, Shiv. Tell me your thoughts on this last fight, because I feel like Gambit played that so smart.
They did play that very smart. Again, like, this is a similar zone, like, outside of Harvester, where there's that little crevice that people seem to use and utilize as cover. And again, that crevice is, they use it as cover, and they get the jump on teams as they pop up out from it, from underneath. Let all the teams above fight, and then they just come up from above and just, get the jump on people. That's it. It's an insane use of natural cover and use of the map. And it works time and time again, it seems like.
Yeah, very
really
intelligent
good,
indeed. Let's have a look at the end kills here. We're seeing 9 kills for Triumph. They seem to be at the top of the leaderboard from the top 5 teams. No, actually, GamersOrigin have gotten more than that. They have 10 kills themselves. But Gambit, very wisely, as you said, just waited on the right moment, that right chance for the fight between Alliance and Triumph. Triumph coming out with those 9 frags, and also Alliance with the 7. So Alliance, you have to consider this. So they have 7 frags, right? That's 7 points for them, and also, quick math from like caster math is never great. But how much is second place there, Nari?
Second place
with the new point system, yeah.
Second place, I believe, was 11 points. Let me just double check
So
that
they
one for
would get
y'all.
18. So if Alliance get 18 points, and considering that Navi or SJP2 or any of the other teams that were kind of, climbing up top and trying to claim Alliance's spot, this might be just about enough for Alliance to claw themselves back in. Oh, this is going to be tight. If they do, it's going to be very close.
Tight like a tiger. And confirmed it is 11 points for a second place. So while we let our fantastic numbers man tally that up, we're going to take a short break. We'll be back at you with the last match of the evening. Don't go anywhere. I can't believe it, guys. It's been 4 days. It's been way too many matches. And at the same time, too few. And here we are at the last match of the tournament. And before we dive into anything else, we got to look at the scoreboard. We got to see what the stakes are. Oh man.
Boy. Oh, there
It's
you go.
so close.
That is close. Shiv, look at that. Alliance clawing themselves back into the first place because of SJP2's not, well, let's say far from perfect game, but this is definitely a chance for Alliance to bolster the position on the first place, but it's also a chance to Na'Vi to try and claw back in. What do you think? How do you think it's going to affect their gameplay in this here last match?
I think Alliance being number 1 right now, I think they're going to be playing quite safe, playing for placement, you know, chilling back a bit, not playing too aggressive, and just getting a nice overall good game here. As for SJP2 and Na'Vi, who are both very close to the top, I think these two teams are definitely going to have to be playing aggressively, trying to pop off and get those kill points in for sure. And
Yeah.
to catch up to that number 1 spot, definitely.
Yeah, I hear you. It's a 50-50 situation for him as well. Maybe, I mean, I don't know if they're going to be happy with second or third place, but they do have a chance, for SJP2 at least, they do have a chance to make it back up towards first. It's just 4 points difference between them and Alliance. So the way to go, I would recommend, well, what I would do if I was in a team right now, if I would see Alliance die and I am SJP, then I would play passive. But up until that point, I'd play a bit more aggressive, right? And for Alliance, you said it, man. I mean, that's the way to go. You see the circle, you go straight into where you circle, read it, where you think it's going to end, and yes, stay there. Take center position, play as passive as you can, let everybody else fight around you. You don't need the extra points necessarily, but you do need end placement. So I think that's the name of the game for him.
I can agree with that. I think even, I mean, SJP2 could even go for a similar strategy right now. If they see that Alliance go down early, then it's the exact same strategy for them. Just kind of hide out for a little bit. Na'Vi, on the other hand, they would need to get a couple of kills. They can't go for pure placement if they want to clinch that first place spot. But SJP2 and Alliance are looking pretty comfortable right now. Again, places 3 through 5 are going to have to put in a ton of work. They're going to need first place, and they're going to need a ton of kills if they want to potentially get that top spot, and they'll need the top 2 teams to go down early. So it's really heating up here for a lot of these teams, and I think we might even see some of these 3 to 6th place teams maybe try and grief the other teams, maybe land on somebody else's spot. Maybe we land on Alliance and try and take them down early. Maybe that's the strat. I mean, if you know that either Alliance wins and you don't win, or Alliance doesn't win and you have a chance to win, so really you got nothing to lose. So maybe this is the time for those really ridiculous plays. I'm kind of hoping, but I'm not gonna hold my breath.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Now, Shiv, I want to talk to you quickly about something here. This is a tournament run by Xbox. Okay, all right, we'll talk in a second, because Cooler is going to be in a fight with guess who? Indeed, it is BDS. It does look like Cooler are getting the short end of the stick. 2 guys down, Roeopi with just a sliver of life left. Might be making his way out there. He does melee Psychop just to make a statement. This is becoming such a meme, man. I can't cast this. What is going on? I mean, every single match they do this, which is crazy. So it does look like Cooler are going to be the ones that do get out. I think.
To be fair, Na'Vi was involved in that fight as well. They were just like, okay, these guys keep taking the spotlight. We're just going to get them down early so that some other teams can get some airtime.
Oh, big brain on Na'Vi, because they knew exactly where the other 2 teams are going to fight, and also Na'Vi are hungry for points. So what did they do? They kind of loot first, just for a few seconds, to make sure they have the guns and some armor, and then they go trying to third party to get those extra juicy points that they direly need right now to try and make themselves back into second place or even first. So yeah, very smart from Na'Vi. That was actually well played. But yeah, let's take a moment to appreciate this. So we were saying this is a tournament run by the community by using the Xpulse platform. By the way, thank you very much, Xpulse, for running a fantastic production.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's been such a great experience. And also, what the players have appreciated in this here far, and you as the viewers at home have appreciated, that we're adjusting the points on the fly. We're trying to see what happens better, if we can make some kind of a scoring point that is even better than what we currently have in the competitive Apex scene. And I think this is just great news for the community. It makes for great viewing experience. A better balance does make for better gameplay from teams. It allows brains to become over brawls, let's say, and it's an all in all great experience. So I would like to say personally, I'd like to say a big thank you to Xpulse for hosting this event, for promoting it on Twitch, for doing everything they're doing for the Apex community. Thank you guys, and you're very, very welcome in Apex. I know it's been a long time, and I'm not the one to say that because I've been away from Apex for so long, but I'm pretty sure that I'm speaking for everyone by saying Xbox is actually doing a great thing for Apex right now.
Hell yeah, man. And we are, well, I say we, Expulse, still looking for sponsors for this tournament. This is our pilot tournament to see how much interest we can drum up from the community, from the players, and testing out the boundaries of production and how well we can create these experiences for our viewers as well. So guys, just bearing in mind, unfortunately, this one does not have a prize pool, but we are looking at sponsors for the next one. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And if you know some people that want to sponsor some Apex, do send them our way. At the moment, Myth
get back
in some trouble.
Yeah, that is true. Just the last man standing for Myth that he does go down. It seems like Myth won't get too many chances in this year, very last game of the AXL Invitational. Let's see where Myth were currently standing. I want to say actually I can't find them. Oh, they were sitting not too bad in today's game. They were in third place, but all things considered, I'm not too sure they're going to be ending up too high on the scoreboard. Let's see.
Well, probably not. It is a little bit
13th.
unfortunate.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. Yeah.
Well, we still got some teams alive here. SJP2 looking to get another good round this time. Of course, we are, or rather, they are hoping to win out this next game and hopefully clinch that first place win. Looking pretty good here for the moment. Quite a lot of gear. They've actually run into some really good gear for the start of the match. We're going to watch them fight some dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's always a fun fight when you see that. But yeah, guys at home, make sure you keep your eyes peeled on the kill feed on the top right. You want to see if Na'Vi, SJP2, or Alliance go out early. And we're going to be focusing on those three teams as well. It's very important to see who the top three are going to come because those teams are pretty close to one another. In the meantime, though, we're looking at LG, and it does look like LG just have one man standing. That is indeed Exens. Can he pull something off here, or is he going to go down? It seems like the latter, as he doesn't have much HP, but... Oh, I see, but too early. He does go down, it seems, at the hands of BDS, or VP also coming in.
Interesting. So it seems like this could be potential attempt at a third party from BDS, but of course they're going to be running straight into VP here. So they're going to need to... I think this is where they back off, right? They managed to take that... they like yoink that kill. And that's going to go into their little score pot. But they don't want to take this fight with VP right now. So they're definitely going to back off for the moment. Oh, but you cannot escape Pierre's sights.
Yeah, Pierre is indeed good with the scout, and so are his teammates. Taking shots from afar. They do want to climb up on the leaderboard, so they will necessarily need plenty of kills, but they're trying to get them the smart way. However, this year, I feel like if VP would be just slightly a tad more aggressive, they might get some better results. They're playing Circle Edge, so you know that they're going to go to this sweeping strat right now, trying to make sure that there's no teams close to them, and if there are teams close to them, they'll go and wipe them out.
Well, they need to be careful because it looks like SJP2 are somewhat close to them.
They're ballooning.
And yeah, and I mean, SJP2 playing this somewhat dangerously, but seem to be getting away with it. So whatever. There's some... Okay, well, we've got Denze a little bit out of the zone right now, but that's fine. There's still a ton of time, and they want to make sure that they've got enough loot to survive whatever comes their way. So hop in there. Not much interesting happening in those barrels. And while we let them loot a little bit more, we'll be here with North, who seem to be in a little bit of a fight at the moment. You can see they're trying to get some protection here as they get their shielding and their healing back up and make this rotation into the building so they've got a little bit more cover. Does seem like there was another team in here earlier, might have been taken down already. They are going to yoink this Watson shield generator and take full control of this building, which is just inside the zone. Now, hopefully for them, the zone will continue to close in on their position, but that is never guaranteed.
That was some great shots coming in against Mandy. I'm not too sure who it was that fired upon him, but nonetheless. Now, we're looking at AHG, another team that has the potential to go on the top 3 leaderboard. They've had a phenomenal night, absolutely phenomenal night. As you said, Matafe decided with the team to go back to their normal comp, and it's working wonders for them. And if they manage to get a good game, they could even topple down the top 3 teams that we were talking about earlier. Will it happen between Alliance, SGP, and Na'Vi? Will Ad Hoc Gaming actually climb up there? Not very likely, but there is some potential if Na'Vi perform bad.
And what was interesting to note, one of the Alliance members did get knocked a little bit earlier on in that kill feed, but it was the only member to go down. So very likely they were able to escape and get him back up. So close, but no cigar. Alliance still in the running in this match. What is interesting to note, round 1 closing, we're down to 14 squads. I'm going to give production a second. Hopefully we can get that screen back up with all the teams so we can see who has gone down. Because again, 14 squads is a bit spicy for round 1.
Yeah, it's not that ideal, is it? It's not great. It's not terrible. But then again, yeah. Oh, check this out. This is a crazy sway. So a lot of teams bet on an end game on Train Yard, but a lot of teams were wrong. It's actually going on Frag West. Sorry, rather. Indeed, this is going to be a very hard rotate for a lot of the teams. Again, the southeast side of the next zone is going to be where things are pop off like crazy.
But what the hell is going on in Frag East? We got 2 or 3 teams there that are clustered up, and one team's running out into the zone. Sorry, Chef, I cut you off. What's up?
Yeah, no, I was about to say the same thing. It's like 3 teams stood up there on the zone. It's about to fight, I guess, right now. And yeah, that's going to be
Oh, I think some
fiesta, it seems.
I think some internet connection problems, or is it just for me?
No. Yeah, he seems to be cutting out a little bit for us.
Yeah, no problem at all. Once you've guessed that one sorted there, we'll get back into the fight. So we'll get back to you in just a second. Alliance now on your screens outside the zone, and they will try to make themselves a nice carven path towards what would seem to be a safe-ish area. We said before that Alliance would have done better to try and claw into the center of the zone as soon as it showed. They haven't necessarily done that. We'll see how this one yields for them. But for the time being, we're taking a look at VP, and well, they're going to be gatekeeping some teams if they have the opportunity to do so. That's why they're taking the high ground.
All right, let's have a look here. So we got Dead Inside gone, Triumph gone, LG are out, Cooler are out, Myth are out, and Wygers are out. But our top contesting teams are still in it. We've still got SJP2 and Alliance, and of course we
Navi.
know. Yeah, we got Navi and Ad Hoc Gaming. So the big boys are still in it for now, and that's a little unfortunate for the rest of the teams. Not really the way that they wanted this match to go. But we'll see if they are able to start clawing their way back for now, as you mentioned, back on VP. And they found themselves a nice little position up on that high ground. That was an interesting arc with the charge rifle.
Yeah, it was a bit of more of a Hail Mary.
Pictures.
Let's see if Shiv is back with us. We'll get back to Shiv. Shiv, do you have any idea how let's say Navi would play this particular side of the circle? Because they do have teams close. Would you recommend aggressing right now?
I mean, right now, what they're doing, they're playing quite passive, and I think I would do the same here. I don't think there's any need to play aggressive right now. But as you see, they're on the edge of zone, kind of, and on that northeast side, the teams that will be moving in the left to start to gatekeep, I feel like, when the zone moves in. So, I mean, right now, they should be playing passive. They're doing the right thing, playing passive and not pushing anyone, and just maintaining position, I think. They're doing great as it is.
I mean, speaking of pushing, it seems like North might be pushing in on Alliance here, yeah. They try to get IPN back up onto that train to get him back up into the fight, but RPR did manage to take him down there in that engagement, so it could be a pretty difficult situation for them. Are you really going to shoot at his feet with a Kraber? Baker, you madman.
I mean, if it works, it works. It didn't this time, though, so he will be pushing with his Peacekeeper. He knew he dealt a ton of damage, and the zone closing in here will deal some more damage to his enemy. Baker does go down by Mandy-san, and it does look like Mandy and Taishin do manage to take out Clique Esports. So, yeah, for the time being, North are looking a bit better, and they will get their third man up. Taishin will be rezzed by RPR, and they should be able to make their way inside the zone. Quick syringe for Taishin, though. He needs that really quickly. Yep, he pops it, and that's okay. So, Alliance, we have to point this one out. Alliance have lost the man, and that is huge for them. That does not necessarily bode well, but it definitely will be changing their playstyle to more of a passive one. But talking about teams that are importantly not to lose members, SJP now lose two. Shelly, the last man standing, not a lot of HP, and all 3 of them get knocked, and that will be the end of them. Self-rest shield won't do a thing in this here situation. So SJP out on 13th position. That is great news for Navi and Alliance.
Yep, them out of the competition means that there is just that little bit more of a chance for some other teams to snag that first place position. We've had some really interesting fights going on here. Teams seem to be playing this a little bit more aggressively, really trying to get some of these teams out as quickly as possible, clawing their way to that first position. And look at this absolute cluster going on here as teams slowly start to make their way towards center of the circle. And not a lot of cover inside this circle either. It looks like it could be a fairly open one, and that doesn't bode well for some of these teams.
Boding well is pretty much the song of this, or the theme song of this here last game. We'll see Alliance if they bode well with the two-man standing squad. I think at this point in time, it's not even feasible to try and get the res. I don't even know if they did get the card off their fallen team. I think that was IPN that fell. So that's a very, very hard or strong member to be taken down. We'll see how that one pans out. In the meantime, though, Na'Vi still claws with a not so great armor on him, but will take some shots with the charge rifle. See if he can do anything with that. His teammate Faizu helping him out. They're just trying to make sure that nobody contests their location. They do seem to have a great spot there, and for the time being, they seem to be safe. However, AHG on the rotate won't be as safe.
Actually, considering that they do need to move in through this choke, I think you're very much correct in that analysis there. Ooh, they found a little bit of a horde area here, so they can possibly take advantage of that, pick up some stuff, and refuel themselves. But as they move into this corner, they're going to be moving straight into B100, and that's going to be very dangerous because B100 do have the high ground advantage for the moment. This is going to be very, very tight as they move their way in. However, getting that first knock, ooh, that's a good trade. But is it going to be enough? It looked like a trade. Wasn't a trade. Is there a third team up there?
There's a third team, Gambit.
Oh no.
Gambit, yeah.
So that's going to be an insane fight right here. B100 free does seem to have that shield popped off at the right time there. That was a fantastic bubble from Gibby. They still have an ult, but they cannot pop it off in this particular location, as I'm sure you're aware. So they're just going to back off and let the two teams fight one another down the path above. And then perhaps as that team pushes in towards them, they'll just use this as a choke point. Here comes that push though. Free does take some good shots at his enemies. They are forced once again on the back foot.
This is a very dangerous position to be in. It's so tightly enclosed. You don't have a ton of space to work with, and you've got very little cover as well. So maybe dropping down that Watson pylon to try and help with the shielding as well. As all this... They're just rushing straight in, and B100 get taken a little bit unawares there. Raiden pushing a little bit too far forward. And AHG, of course, they take that as the go button. Rush straight forward. Once you get that first down, that is the opening that you need. Going out with the disrespect, the melees. But they will take out B100 and claim control of this choke.
This is the second fight AHG have been involved in this match, and they came out on top. This is a fantastic performance out of them. Really, really good stuff. Now, we're looking at Alliance, who we just said before were left with 2 men standing. And now they're forced to fight, which is not ideal for them, so they're going to have to stick together. 2 purples on them, that definitely does, well, that is a good advantage for them, but they're trying to chase their enemies, which is not ideal. So now Lazarus are kind of turtled up in their current location. Alliance are not going to be taking that fight anytime soon. They much rather wait and see if that enemy team might just back off. So for the time being, it's looking like they're making good neighbors. And this is actually important because both of the teams are in the zone, so I don't think it's viable for any of them to try and take fights.
Yeah, I mean, if the team that's fighting them doesn't know that they're only 2, you don't want to take that fight. If they get the information that it's just 2, that might be just the push they need to get in on Alliance, especially if they figure out that it's Alliance and it's only 2, because obviously teams want to get them out of the running as quickly as possible. But without that information, you really don't want to be taking those fights. Now, we can take a look at the map here. Teams still rotating, making their way in. Circle is a little bit more favorable, a little bit more cover for these teams to try and utilize, but still not ideal for those teams that need to move in.
Na'Vi are looking pretty here. I think they might be able to take second place. I do want to see how the other top teams are making it so far, but it does look very, very good for Na'Vi. They're in an ideal position. The teams are fighting all over around them, so for them it's perfect because they can basically kind of sleep in the middle of the storm. But yeah, Alliance did take down Savage, so it looks like Alliance are making a push onto what was Lazarus. Have they managed to take them all down? They might have just.
It could be. I'm not too sure. Didn't see the squad number go down. Let's have a look here. Lazarus. Oh, don't have time. I didn't get a chance to see if they were still in. But it's fine. Epsilon in a little bit of a fight here, so they do need to be careful if they want to try and survive through this one. Using that cover just to make sure that they don't get aggressed in on too quickly. I'm not seeing Lazarus. Alliance is still in. Ad hoc are still in. Looks like Lazarus might be out.
Yeah, so that was great work from Alliance then. That means that Alliance have the same chances of Navi at taking this one. Wow, that is crazy. So SJP2, I haven't noticed was SJP2 still into the game. I think they might just be. They're dead. Okay, they're gone. So SJP2,
SJP2
are
are
confirmed
out.
gone by production. This leaves Navi and Alliance in a battle of giants to see who can make it or who can keep their top position. So with SJP gone, that's actually a great chance for AHG to try and claw their way into top 3. We do see a death now. We'll see it confirmed in just a second.
Alliance
that was
is
Hackis.
out!
Alliance is out. That leaves Navi as the one team from the top 3. This is crazy. This last game is absolutely insane.
With 6 squads left in this little battle. BDS still alive in it. Hell yeah, hands up for BDS. Ad hoc still in as well. I don't think they'll be able to clinch out that win, particularly with Navi still being alive and with the amount of points that Alliance will get. Despite going down before first place, they will still net themselves quite a few points there. But Ad hoc, if they can get a couple kills here, who knows? Maybe they make this happen for themselves.
That's the thing. If Ad hoc get, let's say, top 2, let's say if they make it second place, and with the SJP2 being out of the game, Navi are going to claw into the first place. Alliance, we're not sure where they're going to sit. Ad hoc Gaming have a chance here to actually make it in that top 3. Again, not way too likely, but perhaps a possibility. We'll see how that one pans out. For the time being, we will take a look closer to Navi later on and see if they can make it forth. Now, North, a team that was performing great in the first 2 days, but now slightly on the back foot.
Well, they've managed to claw their way up to at least a top 6 here, so they're doing a lot better than what we had seen earlier on, but little too late, unfortunately. However, they can still have this as a feather in their cap for this match. We got Mandy running around with the Kraber, and he was one of our top fraggers in this tournament, so let's see what havoc he can wreak with this Kraber. Well, only 1 bullet left, so probably not too much, but he does have the Peacekeeper as well to help follow up on that, as BDS finally get knocked out of the competition down to the last 5 squads, and Mandy will go down as well. Not looking too good.
Yeah, definitely not looking good, but AHG are putting in some good fight here. It looks like they're creating a lot of damage. Navi, in the meantime, do take down members from GO. Yeah, there you go. GamersOrigin left for dead. So at this point in time, there's 3 squads. This is Navi, and there was also AHG, and we're not too sure who the last one is. But yes, there's 3 squads in this end game. Epsilon, and they're 3-man strong. This could be a real spanner in the works of Navi.
Oh man, but Navi have done so well to get themselves up to this 3rd place at the very least, right? Now they're busy building up their shielding because they've just come out of a fight and they want to make sure that they can survive whatever comes next. In fact, if a team had pushed in on them now, that would have been a perfect opportunity, but teams don't have that information. Epsilon Noises has a pretty interesting position up here on the top of this little mountain, and I think this high ground really affords them a lot. They can get great vision all around them, but unfortunately not a ton of cover, and Matafe can get some great pot shots as soon as they peek their heads.
Yeah, and that's just for 20 seconds, right? Because then the team that's on top, Epsilon, will need to move lower towards this Navi versus AHG duel. In the meantime, though, Matafe did ding down the team's, the members from Epsilon over the very top, but he's still hitting his really good shots with the wingman against that one team that is Navi, that is poised to take a better place than they're currently at. But Navi need to make this fight happen. They're going to be stormed in just a minute, pincered in, and it looks like AHG might be able to face Epsilon in just a second, unless Navi can have something to say about that.
AHG have a very good position at the moment, but they are going to need to move in. Ring is closing, and now this is where the absolute madness happens. We got one team inside this building. They're going to need to be aggressed on. AHG still have space despite not being inside, so they can maneuver around the outside. Need to be careful, though, because, of course, whatever team is inside will be taking pot shots. Epsilon needed to have rotated, so they should be just outside the building as well. The aggression finally comes through. Matafe taking pot shots here with this Mastiff is the word I was looking for.
You're fine. Look, so it's going to be Epsilon versus Ad Hoc Gaming versus Navi. Navi, Claws, does not have great shielding. He might just go down in a second. In the meantime, it's going to be Darken, actually the first man to go down. Ooh, but that's a bad push. Claws does get taken out. It's just his 2 teammates, and they're not looking pretty either. AHG poised to take this game, and it does look indeed like Epsilon almost falls down. Clique also hits a nice shot onto Faizu. Some good shots coming in from Matafe. Let's see if he connects. Oh, that's a... What are you doing an execution this late into the game? You definitely can't afford to do that. Zippet helps him out with a clean kill, and it does look like 9 Impulse also falls down. It's AHG that might just win this one for the very last game. AHG AHG take the victory, but it does look like Na'Vi have secured themselves a ton of points with this final match, but will it be just enough to dethrone SJP from the second place?
Oh man, it's so early to tell. Now we're gonna wait for our amazing numbers man Kano to tally that up, and we'll get the scores to you as soon as we can. Before we do that, Shiv, any thoughts on that last fight?
I mean, Na'Vi was playing close to the game plan. They were just playing passive, like in the trailer, and just trying to keep at placement because they knew that SJP2 and Alliance were out. So all they had to do was maintain and have a good game and just stay in the fight, as it were. As for HG, they popped off. I think they may have went up in placement actually from winning that game and actually popping off quite a bit.
That is a lot of kills.
Yeah.
That's 14
So
kills.
that might boost them up a bit.
That's
sure.
Exactly what they
27
needed.
points. That's 27 points that they have in this game. So it might not be enough for first place given how well Na'Vi did, but I think that would definitely get them over to the third place threshold.
I don't know much about that. So SGP had 208 points, and Ad Hoc Gaming had 180. So they're going to sit on 207 points. That might just be one short of making top 3 for Ad Hoc Gaming. Of course, we're going to learn soon about this from our admins once the points are tallied up. Oh my god, I don't think in my years of casting BR games that there ever was this kind of a close situation. This is a beautiful ending to what was rather a fantastic tournament, of course, led by Expulse. Quick shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for coming in the community and putting in all this great work. Sam, it's just been such a great experience working with him.
It really has. I think before we get those scores up and throw them up for all of you to see, I want to just do a couple of thank yous. And it's really important because some people have put a ton of work into this. And it's going to start off with Jackal and Asheron, who are the two big old heads here for X-Pulse in this Apex League. They have been fantastic. In fact, Jackal even mucking in and helping out with the observation. You have been a shining star in the Apex community in the last week. And I think you will continue to burn bright for us. Then, of course, Kano, our head admin, and Liqui Boy. He has been updating the scores, updating the Liquipedia. He knows everything there is to know about Apex. So, hang on. Production is telling me about scores, and I'm saying thank you. So wait. So, Kano, thank you very much for all you've done. And, of course, Pierre has been heavily involved, helping us with the scoring system, helping us keep in contact with the captains and the teams. You have been a pillar for us. I need to thank our casters, Tombers, J Howe, Boogie, and of course our surprise analyst Shiv. Thank you for being here. Thank you to production, First Night, and Bear, and of course X-Pulse as a whole. And thank you to all the players for being a part of this. Okay, let's check this out. We're going to be starting off with the points for day 1. Let's see where the team stood at the end of day 1.
So for the first day, you see Alliance taking a good lead there, but North are very close to them on the second place. This was the day where North performed their best with 55 points, but after this, it kind of went a bit downhill for him. Perhaps we'll find a way or a chance to hear from them. Perhaps on Twitter. Do manage to follow them on Twitter. Okay, there we go. Day 2 real quick. Day 2 showing up.
Not waiting for
Alliance
us.
still keeping strong, tied in for first place with Gambit. This is the place, Shiv, where Alliance had a more than phenomenal day, but we actually never saw Gambit coming in from the backside as strong as they did.
And North dropping all the way down to 10th as well. And of course, on the first day, we had that really kill point heavy score line or scoring system. Not so much that you earned more points for kills, but there were fewer points for placement. So a lot of teams went very aggressive, very hard. And when we moved into day 2, teams needed to focus a little bit more on their rotations, a little bit more on their tactics. And we saw some teams, most notably North and of course LG, dropping very low towards the end of day 2. Then as we moved on over to day 3, let's see what happened.
So we saw Na'Vi on the 6th place for day 2. Let's see how better they have climbed on day 3 in just a few moments. But yeah, it does look like Na'Vi have slowly crept back up there, and so did SJP2. What an amazing comeback. This was here the day of Na'Vi and SJP. Both coming out great on top, but Na'Vi taking the lead with 11 points for that first place, 67 in total. Really good day for both of the teams. And as you can see here, Alliance on 8th place. That set them apart, and that gave them a very good chance to climb up the ladder board. Ad Hoc Gaming, of course, also starting to show what they can do. 49 points for them.
And with VP all the way up in 6th place, they had also done well for themselves. Clique all the way up in 3rd place. The end of day 3. Take a snapshot, boys, because trust me, it's going to get shaken up as we move on over to day 4. What happened today?
Well, okay, so the last day, it's just
Okay, they're
been
still making
so much suspense. It's been absolutely crazy to have casted this final 4 matches, or sorry, final 6 matches. It's been such a phenomenal day of so many turnarounds and so many new stories being weaved into here. So here we see SJP2 and Navi making a comeback towards, or not making a comeback, making a climb towards the top of the leaderboard, and Ad Hoc Gaming kind of peering in there. Clique also had a great day yesterday. They went nuts, they went aggressive, they did really, really good. Yuki and Taxi and Baker hitting some great shots. You can see they're top of the leaderboard in kills. So 32 kills is the most kills that anybody has gotten in day 3. And yeah, that's Clique for you. They're very aggressive. You don't want to have them as neighbors. I think everybody fears them at this point in time.
Absolutely. It's just been really surprising to see how some of these teams have done. I mean, day 4 was actually a really good game for Ad Hoc, or really good day, or rather day 3. Jeez. And they said it was the first 2 days that they were experimenting with the Pathfinders. So come day 3, that was when they went back to their original composition, and you can see how well they did. But it took a little while for them to start to climb. Sounded to me like production said day 4 was ready, or am I crazy? Almost ready.
Almost ready or almost crazy?
I mean, but you know what? Why not both, Boogie?
There you go. So what do you think about these whole stories here, Shiv? The way they're shaping up to be, like, first days you don't see Navi and SJP, and then you kind of do, and that's exactly when Alliance don't have such a great day. It's just such a fantastic story, I think, altogether.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's going all over the place. Like one day it's one team's day, and another it's another. Just it's going all over the place. It seems like.
For sure.
Alliance 8th place here right now. I mean, they came right up to 1st right now, and we'll see how they.
So these are the individual points per day. So this wasn't like total points at the end of day 3. Yeah.
Okay.
This is just how they did on day 3. So
I see.
Yeah.
So check this one out. So we're looking at Alliance being on 8th place, and even in their quote-unquote worst day where they came out 8th place, they're actually, let's see, 5 points of a difference from them and 4th place. So this shows you that consistency in battle royale games is such an important factor. You gotta stay on top of your game, even if when you're having less of a great day, that you kind of stay on top of that top 5. If you manage to stay top 5 on each and every day, you're you're guaranteed a podium spot. So it's so many things to learn, I guess, from scoreboard, and this is a great idea from production to actually allow us to look at daily performances.
And I think the name of the game here is consistency, right? The teams that are the most consistent will perform the best, and that's something we got to give to Alliance. Every single day they just performed really well, and it starts to show. I mean, even on day 3, where they didn't perform at their best, they were still up
45
there.
points.
Exactly. They were still up there in the top 10. And that 45 points we saw at the start of the day today, they were like 20 points ahead of whoever was in 2nd place. So it didn't matter that they had a little bit of a rough day. They were still being fairly consistent and keeping those points going. And it's netted them a really good placement. Just a very unfortunate last match of the day where they went down just a little bit too early. I think they went down in 12th, which takes them just out of point earning space.
And that shows you the power of a good roster, right? Because IPN didn't come that long ago into the Alliance roster, but he's already proven himself like crazy, and they're gelling. They're working together insanely well. It's just fantastic to see how well they're doing. Taking all the factors into consideration, and taking into consideration that you do need some time to kind of get over the strats and come up with new ways to climb at the top. No, not Alliance. They say, okay, IPN's here, let's just frag out like crazy. I'm thinking, yeah, Alliance might be the new EU hope. If they manage to keep up their current comp and update with new strats and new ways to remain at the top, I think Alliance are looking like a very powerful, beastly monster that will not be taken down so easily.
And if you guys want to learn a little bit more about Alliance, of course, the EU scene doesn't get as much love and coverage as the NA scene, unfortunately. But if you do want to learn a little bit more, there's a lovely article that went out today, in fact, I believe, by Halo of Thought. So you can go check that one out. He did a great little interview with the Alliance players and their manager, Pontus. So you can learn a little bit more about the hope of EU, as Boogie has put it.
Yeah, okay, maybe I'm being a bit melodramatic, waxing all lyrical here.
Wait, Yeah.
But it's just, yeah, exactly, considering my Apex Pro days, me and my sweet words. But no, it's definitely good to see that there's a very powerful heartbeat. And I'm not just talking about Alliance, but I'm talking about the heartbeat of these teams in Europe. They've proven so much valor, so much worth. Shiv, the European scene looks like it's thriving now more than ever.
I mean, you do see a lot of these teams, and the way you look at the EU scene, Alliance is a very consistent team, or so I've seen. They place very well in a lot of the tournaments they play. It's just that consistency is king, and these teams at the top, SJP2 as well, I've seen them pop off quite a bit in recent tournaments. And yeah, I don't know. These teams they're just all at the top. They're the top teams. That's all I can say. And all these teams at the top are very respectable, 100%.
Absolutely.
All of them.
And perhaps there's something of a detail to be said. I know you said, Shiv, that you haven't played too long in LGS, but there's something of a detail to be said in BR games, especially when you don't have a moment for your brain to relax and fall back and just kind of, just leave it blank. Every single moment in a BR game is intense. So maybe there's something to be said here for rosters that perform well because they get well along, that there's not a lot of words needed to be said for everybody to know what they need to do, so that they positively reinforce one another. Is that your experience, Shiv? Do you think that plays a major factor?
I think that would definitely help for sure. Having a roster where each of you boost each other up definitely will give you the confidence. Definitely, I would say so. Yeah.
For sure.
But
all right, we're just sorry to interrupt. We're getting word that the website is getting too much traffic, and so we're unable to update the scores. So guys, if you're on the website, it's good, but it's bad. So if you're on the website, could you just close the page for a second? You're not going to see anything if we can't update the scores. I love the enthusiasm, though. I absolutely love how many of you want to see who won, but we want to see it too. So if you could, just give us a minute. Sorry, carry on, waxing lyrical. You guys said some really big brain things. I was enjoying it.
I'm not too sure if it's big brain things. It's just, normal observations, I suppose, when you've seen the BR scenes from every other game. It's just, I think that positive reinforcement and making, rewarding your teammates for doing good more than telling them on a negative tone when they're doing bad. In BR, more than any other game, it helps a lot because your brain is already stressed out on every single second. So if you have somebody that positively reinforces you for those 20 minutes when you're in a dire fight or in a constant dire fight for positioning, for kills, for placement, it's absolutely nuts. So having a positive team around you can make a world of a difference in these scenarios. True. There you go. Shiv's approval stamp. Just kinda, true. I agree with it. I'm looking here at chat. I finally opened up the channel and we're sitting pretty there, and it looks like chat is going nuts
for Alliance.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude.
I think they might know something that we don't, because we definitely don't know something.
I mean, they can't know something because the website's crashed.
Yeah, that's the only thing we know, is that the website completely crashed. Thank you so much for your support, guys. Everybody watching, everybody in chat right now. All of you checking the website, perhaps it might be a chance for us to check it ourselves. I'm going to close it myself. Maybe one click does help. So every click does help, or every lack thereof. But it's been a fantastic tournament. It's good to see X-Pulse coming in here, Sam. It's good to see you at the top of the head of broadcast, as you were in Apex Pro days, but this time done at a more professional level. And you sure held your own. And
you know what? I didn't do much. I gathered the people, and they popped off. I gotta say, I brought in some people that I knew from the old broadcast days, Knight and Bear. And as I said, Jackal needed to muck in, but you know what? Really held his own. He really, really did, all things considered. I think that the two observers did a fantastic job. In fact, we had two observers, each with two PCs, and they were watching 4 different POVs at any given time to feed that into a server so that our wonderful producer, Knight, could bring that to all of you guys. So I think that they've done a fantastic job, given how understaffed we are. And again, I mean, even my casters, you, J-How, Tombers, every one of you, just amazing people. All I did was gather you, and you guys made this explode. So
you're being too nice. And Shiv as well as the analyst.
Shiv
Take a
as
shit
well,
for your
man.
output.
Massive big brain here. Started off kind of nervous, but really got into it, which is pretty cool.
It's every time I watch Shiv's stream, I always love the positivity from him. You just have this kind of chill way of being. You just kind of instill chillness into me as well. It's like a zen mood every time I watch you. So thank you very much for your memes and for all you're doing for the community as well. But yeah, big shout out to Dombiz and to J-How. They've also been, as you said, Sam, popping off. That was a fantastic cast by them in day 1 and 3. And also, because we have these few minutes, I can also let you in on some cool details about production in BR games. Well, you know what? We'll get to that in a second. Production does tell us that we finally have day 4. Let's have a look and see. So this is not overall scores. This is not overall scores. This is just today's scores. Let's have a look at this, Sam.
Ad hoc.
That's
Popped
what the
off. One day. In one day. They got 100. You know what? I'm done.
You know what? Okay, so let's just put this into context for anybody watching at home. Just to let you know, the record was set by Gambit and Alliance with 78 points. That's the maximum amount of points any team could have gotten in one day. And here come Ad Hoc Gaming topping that off with just sheer amazingness. Like 105 points and 47 kills per day. That's almost an average of 8 kills per game, or even better. It's just absolutely insanity about Ad Hoc Gaming.
I'm blown away at the improvement that we saw from them. In day 3, in the first 2 days, they were kind of nowhere because, again, they were trying out something new. It didn't work. Day 3, they came in at 8th place. Day 4, they topped the points. And now let's take a look at these final points.
Oh, there you go. Alliance. Congratulations, Alliance, for your victory in the first ever AXL Invitational. You have shown your valor. Big GGs to everybody. Big GGs to Navi coming into second place, very close by follow with 212 points, just 7 behind Alliance, but also just 3 behind Navi. Another GG and a congratulations to SJP2, who come in on the 3rd place. And only 2 points. Ad Hoc Gaming sitting on the 4th. You know what? We'll kind of throw them on the 3rd place as well because they had this insane day that they had today. But yeah, the top is looking absolutely mental. Look at how close those guys are to one another.
The points difference is a sliver. It's so minuscule. That last game, I mean, Alliance didn't even get placement points. They secured their win with just kills. It is insane how close it got between these two teams. And let's bear in mind, I believe OT6 is next weekend. If you guys were not looking forward to it, you better be looking forward to it now, because these are the teams to look out for. These top 5 teams are going to blow your minds next weekend.
Yeah, that is absolutely insane. And we might just be able to do an Alliance interview here if our producer does manage to do that. Just put the good sir in the on the server at any point in time.
All right, let's.
Perhaps Sam can do that. But yeah, it's just such an amazing tournament. It's such a crazy turn of events. But also at the end of the day, Alliance, the guys that managed to keep themselves up on the 1st place on day 3, they had a rough one. Managed to claw it right back in on the very last game. That was a crazy tournament, man. It was beautiful. That's all I can say about it.
I'm checking to see now if we can get the captain of Alliance in here. I believe it is Waves. So we're going to see if we can get him in here for an interview. No promises. Gotta wait and see if they do respond. But damn, what an insane day for Apex. What an insane week for Apex.
Hackers is technically the captain, but then again, Waves, Hackers, IPN, whoever you get in here would be a great. Even, I mean, if you do get Pontus or anybody else, that would be fantastic to talk to them. But yeah, it's just wow. I'm blown away by the play that these teams have put in tonight. And I'm just talking about the top 3 teams. I'm talking about everybody that has played tonight, or not tonight, over the course of this week. What a beautiful performance from everybody else. And again, I'm feeling like at the start of 2019, I'm seeing hope in my eyes or in my heart. Again, for the Europeans, and they're doing so good, and it's lovely to see them grow the way they have.
All right. And yeah, it looks like we will be, in fact, getting that interview. We're just waiting for the Captain Hackers to hop into the voice channel so we can drag him on up in here. I really feel like, I mentioned a little bit earlier how NA tends to get a bit more love than the EU scene does. And we know this. I mean, they have constant tournaments going on, and I'm really happy that we have the opportunity to bring this to you guys. So, here he is, boys.
All right,
Hello.
we got Hackers in here. Sam, you want to take this away?
Yeah, dude. Okay, so first of all, what is Alliance feeding you?
Right now nothing. I'm stuck in my hometown because of Corona, so
Well,
my
that's
girlfriend's
okay.
feeding me right now.
Okay, what is she feeding you? The viewers need to know how to pop off.
I just ate some vegan meatballs with some potatoes and mushrooms and vegetables. Like pretty good food.
So
Eat your
healthy
veggies.
food.
There you
Yeah.
go, man. You gotta eat healthy if you want to pop off. All right.
Yeah.
Tell us as much as you can. I know you don't want to reveal too much, but tell us a little bit about your strategy coming into this league, because you guys have performed out of your minds.
I mean, we play different like every single zone. It just depends on the zone. We adapt to it and we play accordingly. Like if we get a good zone, we just play the best position. If we get a bad zone, we just play edge and farm kills. So, as a team, you need to be able to do everything, in my opinion, and that's just what we've been doing to be consistent.
That's huge. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. That's an interesting thought. Adapting in order to be consistent. I like that. We actually spoke a lot about consistency earlier on. Now, you guys kind of paved the way for the caustic meta, and it's clearly been working out quite well for you. Now, how did you come up with that? Is that something that you'd thought about for some time, or was it just like, well, let's see what happens?
It started out with lowly. Like we didn't want to play Jibby on our team. Everyone hated Jibby. It's just like he's just an annoying pick, and nobody wanted to play him. So we figured, how do we counter Jibby? And at the start, we were thinking caustic. Well, nice. We have like 18 Jibby teams per game, and we're on caustic, so we can just gas everyone out. But then, we just adapted our playstyle with caustic, and now we can do everything. So it's not just a Jibby counter anymore. It's a very good pick overall.
Yeah, I've seen you guys actually use caustic in inching forward, as using his bombs as kind of a smoke to cover your tracks, which is such a beautiful thing to do. So to see you guys come up with these inventive strategies is so great. So I'm thinking you come up with inventive strategies and creative stuff whenever you feel good as a roster. Do you think this here roster that you have at this current point in time, with IPM being in, is the ideal form for Alliance? Are you on Super Saiyan mode?
I think we're definitely Super Saiyan mode. Like we can definitely be the best team in the world. Currently think we're like a top 3 in the world. So I definitely think we can be the best if we just work out some of the flaws that we have right now. We are making some mistakes, and if we can just iron them out, we should be good. And we're hoping for the next international tournament.
You guys are insanely consistent. Alliance, you guys are crazy, honestly. You guys even make caustic work in such an open zone. It's crazy. I mean, you guys really achieved a lot in such a small space of time.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what question to ask, honestly.
I mean, on
like,
that,
oh,
I mean,
what
that's a
do
great
I say,
question
But,
that appears.
like,
I mean, how do you reach that consistency? I think that might be a great question there, Shiv. What do you guys do to maintain yourselves as consistent as you are, Hakas?
I mean, we just practice a lot. Like we're one of the few teams that actually like scrim every day and play the game every day. A lot of people are burnt out on the game, but we still keep grinding. So I think that's one of our advantages, definitely, to be consistent, to keep grinding the game, even in the current state of the game.
Yeah,
Keep
makes a
grinding
massive
the game.
difference. Yeah.
There you go. Those are some really great closing words. Thank you so much, Hackers, for coming in here and talking to us. And again, congratulations for a very well played tournament. And congratulations to everybody else. Samantha, Shiv, we've witnessed Apex greatness in Europe, and that can only make us feel good.
Hell yeah,
100%.
brother. I think that will very likely wrap it up for this evening. Hackers, just one last thing. OT6 is next weekend, correct?
The 30th, I think.
Is it the 30th?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so in 2 weeks' time. 2 weeks' time. Cool. All right, well, I know that you guys won, I believe it was OT4. So good luck with the next OT, and hopefully you guys will absolutely pop off. Once again, I'm not going to list everyone as I did that a little bit earlier on, but thank you to absolutely everyone who has been involved in this tournament and this production. Thank you, Hackers, for being here for our interview. Thank you to all the players for being amazing, and thank you for the viewers for being so wholesome. Y'all are fantastic. This is not the end for Expul's Apex League. Follow our Twitter. Check out the website. We will be back as soon as we can, and we'll let you know how that pans out. So until then, have a good one.